from Mamdani for mayor. Mamdani's returning the favor by now backing his opponent, Democratic Socialist Darialisa Avila Chevalier, who says the New York primary could be the domino that builds socialist power nationwide. Progressive Brad Lander is trying to unseat Congressman Dan Goldman, who was banned from a New York City coffee shop Sunday and issued a refund for being a, quote, genocide enabler.
That's Fox's Brian Yanis. There are also primaries in Maryland and Utah and runoffs today in South Carolina. Today, Iran's president's going to Pakistan, which, along with Qatar, helped mediate talks with the U.S. over the weekend in Switzerland. Vice President Vance was there and touted the Strait of Hormuz is open to shipping, and they got Iran to agree to let nuclear inspectors in. The U.S.
trust what they actually do. Letting in the inspectors is a big deal, but again, we're going to see what they actually let the inspectors do once they're in the country. That's going to continually be a part of our negotiations.
Iran disputes that it's agreed to inspections and maintains it'll decide how it will spend any funds the U.S. unfreezes. Meanwhile, the Trump administration wants more money from Congress.
The Pentagon is asking for about $80 billion to cover the cost of the war in Iran. President Trump is now set to meet with defense contractors tomorrow to urge them to accelerate the replenishment of depleted U.S. stockpiles.
Fox's Doug Luzader. Today, President Trump will go to Pennsylvania, touting American manufacturing in Lehigh County, where he'll visit a Mack Trucks assembly plant. America's listening to Fox News.
You never know who might be taking the quiz.
Hi, I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, your personal astrophysicist.
Hey everyone, it's Phil Simms.
Hey everyone, it's Danica McKellar.
It's Candace Bushnell.
I'm Jeremiah Brown.
Hey everyone, I'm Kix Brooks.
I'm John Taffer.
I'm Jennifer Eden.
Everybody's Kevin Nealon.
It's Mr. Wonderful here, and it's time to take the quiz.
5 questions in less than 5 minutes every day. Listen and follow at thequiz.fox.
The world of business moves fast. Stay on top of it with the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday. Fox Business reporters, anchors, and hosts will bring you beneath the stock market speculation and boardroom drama to tell you about the biggest business stories of today. Whether you're on Main Street or Wall Street, Fox Business is invested in you.
Listen to the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday at foxbusinesspodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts.
Another fugitive accused of fraud captured.
Ibrahim Hilmi is back in the U.S. after he was detained in Turkey. Authorities say he fled after defrauding Medicare of $3.7 billion. FBI Director Kash Patel in a statement called it another massive win for their war on fraudsters with the White House task force led by VP Vance, and a monumental victory for the Trump administration. This arrest is the second high-profile return of an accused Medicare fraud fugitive in less than a week. Last Thursday, the FBI announced it has brought back Herbert Kimball, who was accused of defrauding Medicare of $1.3 billion. He had been on the run since 2024. Lisa Lacera, Fox News.
On Wall Street, stock futures are falling after a mixed day. The Dow had gained 148 points, but the Nasdaq dropped 351. A star player is being traded in the NBA. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Milwaukee's sending him to Miami, according to ESPN, along with Bobby Portis. To get Giannis, a 2-time NBA MVP, the Heat send the Bucks, Tyler Hero, and 3 other players, and several first-round draft picks, including the 13th overall selection in tonight's NBA draft. Milwaukee now owns that. At soccer's World Cup, a star makes history.
Medina, pulled back here, lets it run. Messi! History in Dallas!
Courtesy of Fox, Argentina's Lionel Messi stands alone as the greatest goal scorer in the history of the tournament. That goal in the 38th minute against Austria was goal number 17 in his legendary World Cup career. He passed Germany's Miroslav Klose for the record. Messi would tack on one more in the 95th minute to bring his total to 18 as Argentina won the game 2-0. Tony Genualdo, Fox News.
Kylian Mbappe also scored twice for France. He's 2 behind Messi's career record with 16. The French team shut out Iraq. Norway beat Senegal. Jordan topped Algeria. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
I'd like to tell you about a man named Phineas who as a child survived the Holocaust. Phineas survived because Christians hid him from the Nazis, risking everything to save his life. Today, Phineas is in his 80s. He can no longer stand on his own or even leave his home to receive medical care. And when sirens sound and missiles fall, he doesn't have the time or the strength to reach safety. But once again, Christians are helping to save his life. Through the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, a mobile clinic brings doctors and medicine right to Phineas's doorstep, providing care that he otherwise would not receive, especially during a time of war. Phineas said, "Christians saved my life during the Holocaust, and now again, they are helping me." As Israel's Holocaust Remembrance Day approaches, remember these precious children of God by lifting them up in prayer, asking for his protection, his comfort, and his peace. Stand with Israel in prayer by visiting supportifcj.org. That's supportifcj.org.
Hi, it's Amy Jacobson, and last year I hired Level 10 Coatings to give my garage floor a total makeover, and I am loving it. It still looks great, shiny, and clean. Level 10 Coatings. Now, you've got to call these guys if your garage floor is cracked, stained, still covered in salt. Don't live like that. Get it done now so you can enjoy it this summer. Level 10 Coatings. They're fast, reliable, and highly professional. Guess what? I went to work. When I came home, it was done. A shiny new gleaming garage floor. A quick, easy fix, and it's guaranteed never to chip or peel. Why? It's not an epoxy job. It's better. Level 10 uses polyurea, which is much better than epoxy. So schedule your free quote today and mention me, Amy, to receive $500 off. Visit level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10, coatings.com, or call 855-510-2628. Staff are local and ready to answer questions. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
Welcome back to Ask Hassellus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
Are you the Weston from Hassellus Mattress?
That's me.
I'm your biggest fan.
Oh, well, thanks.
The way you talk about employee-free Hassellus showroom, free next-day delivery, and prices that are way low. I mean, nobody does it better.
I don't know what to say.
Say that I can get a free box spring with the purchase of any Sealy Posturepedic or Beauty Rest mattress.
Okay. Now through Monday, at Hassellus, get a free box spring with the purchase of any Sealy Posturepedic or Beauty Rest mattress.
Awesome.
You know what's really awesome? You can get a Beauty Sleep by Beauty Rest Queen Elm Cove A mattress. Others sell it for $1,459. But Hassellus has it for just $794.
I know. I have that tattooed on my...
Wow, you really are a fan.
Told ya.
Save big and get a free box spring through Monday at Hassellus Mattress. Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at hassellus.com.
Whether you are old or young, no one likes to lose money. The market is at an all-time high. How much risk does your portfolio really have in it? Are you worried that you could lose your hard-earned money? Call TJ Stearns in Arlington Heights at 800-640-2256 for your free risk report. Call right now and we will include a full analysis of your portfolio. Don't wait until it's too late. Call TJ Stearns, a local and longtime sponsor on AM 560. Call 800-640-2256. Call now and tell him AM 560 sent you.
Larry Elder believes it was the right decision.
It was quite courageous for President Trump to start a war with Iran in the first place, given the absence of support by the American people and the absence of support by the international community. And why did he do it? Because it was the right thing to do. Because 7 previous presidents had kicked the can down the road.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's June 23rd, and this is your Fox Daily Snapshot. Today's National Pink Day, celebrating the meaning, history, and beauty of the pale shade of red. Elle Woods said it best in the movie Legally Blonde in 2001.
Whoever said orange is the new pink was seriously disturbed.
In 1997, Aerosmith releases a song about the color. The song reaching number 27 on the Billboard Hot 100. We can't leave out Pink, the singer-songwriter. It went to number 1 on the Billboard 100. Enough about everything Pink. John Gotti, the Teflon Don, sentenced to life in prison in 1992. The mob boss had been found guilty of murder and racketeering. And in 1989,
I'm Batman.
Tim Burton's Batman, starring Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson as the Joker, is released. I'm CJ Papa, and that's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
Ross Shaw talks about building income in retirement.
You know, you can actually structure it in a way that have that $4,000 a month coming in the door every single month. So you don't have to look at the stock ticker and say, oh, the stock market's up today, stock market's down. You still got that $4,000 a month, and having that opportunity to take the vacations and do all the fun things in retirement that you always dream to do.
Unleash your wealth, Saturday at 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Lindell and the MyPillow employees want to thank you for your great support this past year. They want to make 2026 the best year ever. So to thank you, they are giving you free shipping on your entire order and wholesale pricing. So they are bringing back the mega sale. For example, the classic MyPillows, regularly $49.98, now only $14.98. Turn any mattress into the best mattress ever with the Made in the USA MyPillow My Mattress Topper and save up to $100. Get a set of MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets for as low as $29.98 or the 6-pack towel set for only $34.98. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. These offers won't last long, so call 800-489-0201 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY. Order now and your entire order ships absolutely free.
On Salem News Channel, principled voices are shaping today's conversation. Scott Jennings brings clarity to the toughest debates. Josh Hammer's blistering commentary puts politics and culture on trial. And Alex Marlowe's insight connects us to what matters most. Watch anytime on Samsung TV Plus, Pluto TV, or find us on your screen at snc.tv. 3 new shows, 1 powerful lineup. Salem News Channel, across America.
When the seasons shift, you need a heating and cooling team you can trust to keep your home just right. That's where Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling, the original, comes in. This family-owned gem has been a local favorite for more than 45 years, sending only their own top-notch, highly trained technicians to your door. Whether it's a quick repair, a full installation, or anything in between, their work is unmatched, and their customer service feels like family. Keeping you cozy in the winter and cool in the summer, Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling delivers comfort you can count on. I've known Garrett and his family for years, and they are great friends of AM 560. Dial 847-545-1700 or visit arlingtonheightsheatingandcooling.com. Mention AM 560 and enjoy 20% off your first service call. Again, go to arlingtonheightsheatingandcooling.com. The original Arlington Heights Heating and Cooling, not the biggest, but absolutely the best.
John was an active man. He'd go for runs, walk the golf course, and always take the stairs instead of the elevator. But then bone-on-bone knee pain got in the way and affected his mobility. It became too painful to even go for walks. And when it seemed like John's only option was knee replacement surgery, a friend told him about the Joint Relief Institute and their affordable, non-surgical knee pain relief. John met with the Joint Relief Institute and discovered their lubricating gel treatment could rejuvenate his lost cartilage. Safe, effective, no surgery. Long story short, John is now back to being active without pain or medication.
There is an alternative to knee replacement surgery. Stop living in pain. Call the Joint Relief Institute today, 708-315-6800, or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. That's 708-315-6800. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted. Reclaim your mobility with the Joint Relief Institute.
Chicago businesses. Your phone, internet, and IT should work well 24/7. But when it doesn't, who are you calling? At Overseas Help Desk? If you want clear, reliable local experts, consider Access One. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years. From our headquarters right here in the West Loop, whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One has you covered. Access One is Chicago-owned, Chicago-run, and serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore and everywhere in between. We're rated top 5% in customer satisfaction, a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business, and trusted by law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. Let's talk about making your IT work well. Call 800-654-1555 or visit AccessOneInc.com. That's AccessOneInc.com. Tech made personal, locally.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for Townhall.com.
As America's 250th birthday approaches, it's worth taking a moment to celebrate the Declaration of Independence. Today, many Americans take for granted the idea that all people are created equal and endowed by their Creator with inalienable rights, natural rights that no government may rightfully take away. It's easy to forget just how revolutionary those ideas were when the Declaration was written. Grounded in Judeo-Christian principles, the Declaration established the United States not on shared ancestry, geography, or history, but on devotion to a common creed. Although America has not always lived up to its highest ideals, our Declaration gives voice to our finest aspirations. With it, the founders drafted the promissory note that generations of Americans have drawn on in the ongoing effort to build an ever more perfect union.
At Signature Bank, going the distance for business banking customers is what we do every day. We understand that business owners have a strategic mission, a drive to succeed, a plan for growth, and don't have time to wait for a bank to respond. With Signature Bank, you not only have a banking partner that has roots right here in Chicago, but our decisions are made locally too. Signature Bank knows that when you have a question or problem about your business, you want answers. You need someone who will pick up the phone or respond to your text. You need someone who is always there for you. That's Signature Bank. We are a team that wants to get to know you and your business. Want to be Signature Bank's next success story? Give us a call today at 773-467-5630 or visit us online at signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect sunny skies giving way to more clouds later on. The temperature will reach a high of 75. Tonight, the clouds will start to break up with a low of 59. Tomorrow, anticipate a mix of sunshine and clouds, leading to a chance of showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon. Keep an eye out for gusty winds and small hail with any downpours. The high temperature will be 79. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Want to see my drawers?
He means the drawers of the Briley bedroom from Penny Mustard.
Not all drawers are created equal,
but the Briley bedroom's drawers are equally awesome.
With full extension drawer glides and sturdy bottoms that are 3/8 of an inch thick.
And that's good because nothing's worse than when your bottom falls out.
He means your drawer bottom.
But the Briley bedroom is more than just drawers.
I love the flared feet and how the shape of the headboard matches the mirror.
Along with hundreds of fabric options for the headboard and a variety of hardware.
And drawer bottom strong enough to stand on.
You know, if we dedicate this much time to the drawers, just imagine how well constructed the rest of the Briley bedroom must be.
What are you waiting for? Come see my drawers.
The Briley bedroom, American made with a queen bed, dresser, mirror, and nightstand, starting at $99.33 at Penny Mustard.
7 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of the drawers people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
Scott Jennings fearlessly fights back against the mainstream media on the Scott Jennings podcast.
The Supreme Court's decision striking down racial gerrymandering. The Supreme Court said enough is enough, and in this ruling, the justices raised the bar. They said if you want to challenge a map as discriminatory, you now have to prove actual intent, not just point to statistical disparities.
Subscribe for free today on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Your local State Farm agent, Anthony DeGrotto, combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I know we're on a trans femicide state of emergency in Chicago, but I do have to comment on the Bears that this the possibility that they could stay in the Chicagoland area is being resuscitated, and there's a prospect of a special session, and they're talking again, and so on and so forth. I just was so tickled by this Politico report. Now that we've gotten the festivities surrounding the Obamalisk grand opening squirreled away, we can focus on the Bears. The way this is reported. The conversation is moving again. Discussions between the Bears and Illinois officials are continuing behind the scenes, with some expecting greater clarity as soon as tomorrow. The Bears are even, Politico reporting, Shia Kapos, so helpless and hapless. The Bears are even working on legislation that could keep them in Illinois. What a development. They're writing their own legislation now. Because J.B. Pritzker, Governor Jelly Belly, hey, look, you got to tell me what you want. I'm sorry. There was legislation that moved out of the Senate that got stalled in the House. So you're the legislators. You're the public officials. You're the individuals that are supposed to balance private interests with public interests to the extent that we do any of this. We indulge any of this rent-seeking to begin with. But, of course, we're going to do that. And if you're going to sort of have a baseline of using the same special deals for businesses that are either too big or have too much status to fail or to leave, as most states do, of course, a kleptocracy like Illinois is going to do the same. So if you're going to do it, then we'll then get to it. You've had all these conversations. They bought the property in 2021. They brought Arlington Park in 2021. Hey, what is it you guys want? How many conversations has BLM Brandon and the governor's people and legislative leaders had with Kevin Warren and Bears front office folks over 5 years? I'm baffled. They're so non-communicative. That's something J.B. Pritzker emphasized last week. Why don't you do it? You just write your own. Yeah, okay, well, we'll write our own thing. I mean, it's going to be particularly with interest in serving our interests exclusively. But, okay. I mean, if you want us to write our own legislation, everybody should be able to do that. And then just have the General Assembly, a bunch of people may basically keeping seats warm until they can collect a pension. Just rubber stamp it. Yeah. There would be a special legislative session addressing the Bears without a deal in place. Well, whose fault is that there's no deal? I love this transparent attempt to blame shift. The Bears made some missteps. They didn't genuflect before me. Yeah, I know. We heard you. And this statement from Cam Buckner, speaking of hapless and witless, Cam Buckner, who was carrying the Bears legislation in the House, said this: you don't call a special session to drop a flight plan, you call a special session to land the plane. Well, then what was the last session of the General Assembly about? I mean, this is your legislation that you didn't get out of the House with your speaker and your supermajority. Hey, yeah, we got to drop a flight plan here, and then the special session is to land it. This is remarkable, but it's it's worth pointing out because it is so indicative of exactly what I said. The Illinois' unique position as the state that has combined a kleptocracy with a kakistocracy. We are governed by our lessers, and they're corrupt. 312-642-5600. alphawealthgroup.com text and call line. State Representative Curtis Tarver, he's entered the debate. He's entered the debate now. It's June. You had since January of 2021. Well, I mean, let's stop horsing around and get down to business here. Now, Curtis Tarver, sure, because, if we're just, throwing spaghetti against the wall, they should do, forget Arlington Heights, they should use the Southworks site on the southeast side. That's a bigger, better deal. And Curtis Tarver, another visionary down there in Springfield, envisions a development corridor linking the Obelisk, the Griffin Museum of Science and Industry. He's no longer with us. I mean, as a resident. The Illinois Quantum and Microelectronics Park, a new Advocate Health Hospital, and Bear Stadium. Don't just default transformational investments to the same old neighborhoods. This is something. Oh, and by the way, McCook is involved now, too. Sure, why not? Anybody else got to, they're actually, we talked to him last week, Marty McLaughlin, I know he's a Republican, so you're not supposed to pay attention to him, and certainly the power structure in Springfield won't and doesn't have to. But as these sorts of deals go, it's one of the more reasonable proposals I've heard. I'm not a fan of any of this rent seeking, any of these special deals, but if you're going to do it, Marty McLaughlin's proposed something that has some, legs on the substance of it. Why don't you just take that and run with? No. The Terrence Carr, the mayor of McCook, wants to make McCook the home of the Bears. They've already got that strip joint infrastructure there. So you've got the entertainment district. The Bears would be a nice complement to that. Where's Stone Park's stadium idea? That let's make that Manheim Road corridor great again. These people are laughable. And the Bears and this sort of obviously the pull of Chicago and wanting to make it make sense to be in Chicago. Let me tell you something. The reason that the Bears board moved to take the next step in the direction of Northwest Indiana, because you can't make it make sense to be here. Even if you got what you wanted, even if the Bears wrote the legislation and the General Assembly just rubber stamped it, the General Assembly and Jelly Belly just rubber stamped it in some special session, how could you even trust it? How could you trust the deal? Look who you're dealing with. Just go.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
It's hard to deny the constant attack of negative emotions that flood us online. The fear, anxiety, worry, and confusion that come from the constant stream of news and social media can be overwhelming. There is a way to escape this never-ending cycle and find peace, hope, and joy in your daily life. Christianity.com, with a wide range of daily devotionals, biblical answers to life's toughest questions, and insightful Bible study articles from your favorite pastors and authors on current events and issues, Christianity.com provides a little heaven on earth. Go to Christianity.com now.
AM 560, The Answer.
I know, again, we've got a trans femicide state of emergency in Chicago, and we'll keep you updated on that. But ICE was able to catch up with a former high school teacher in U46 up there in Elgin, who was a material player in a triple homicide. No thanks to the same cacistocratic kleptocrats I was just discussing. We'll start there at 5:38. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
54 degrees. Skies are clear. We're headed for sunshine this morning. Some clouds for the afternoon. At 5:30, one man is dead in a shooting inside an auto repair shop on Chicago's west side. Police say the victim was shot yesterday during a fight inside of that business. There is no one in custody this morning after a rideshare driver was shot on Chicago's west side. Detectives say the victim was dropping off passengers along South Central Park Avenue when he was shot. This morning, he is listed in good condition. Following another weekend of gun violence around Chicago, city and anti-gun activists gathered outside of City Hall to propose the creation of a new city department solely focused on fighting gun violence.
We cannot continue to rebuild the plane while it is in the air under every administration.
Activists say the proposed Department of Gun Violence Reduction is not redundant, even though police and two other well-funded city agencies are addressing violence already. Governor J.B. Pritzker is also firing back at President Trump over his comments about weekend gun violence in Chicago.
I don't think that we should be listening to this president about promises that he makes or that he has any idea how to protect us in the state of Illinois.
Governor did say he was deeply concerned about the safety of Illinois residents. Voters heading to the polls today for primaries in New York, Maryland, South Carolina, and Utah. Much of the national attention likely focused on New York State. The Senate passed a sweeping housing affordability bill overnight.
The goal, reduce federal regulations and expand local control. It's one of the most sweeping efforts in recent decades to increase supply and bring down prices, which in many cases are out of reach for prospective first-time home buyers. The average home in the U.S. now costs more than $500,000. Banking Committee ranking member Elizabeth Warren says, for the first time ever, private equity will be blocked from buying up single-family homes and trying to turn housing into one more Wall Street investment. The House is expected to give final approval later this week. Tom Rigotti, Fox News.
Kane County Coroner's Office confirming a body pulled from the Fox River in Elgin over the weekend does belong to a missing teen. Authorities say 16-year-old Destiny Neal was located Sunday in the river north of the Kimball Street Bridge. She was reported missing last Friday. Chicago police are investigating recent sexual assaults in the South Shore neighborhood. Authorities say female victims were attacked from behind and then groped on June 13th and June 15th in the 7700 block of South Shore Drive. The largest robotics and artificial intelligence show in North America has opened here in Chicago, and whether they're making lattes or doing assembly line work, those robots are the future and apparently where the money is going. And many of them are on display at McCormick Place this week. Even robotic dogs developed as search dogs, going places that their handlers say are too dangerous for real dogs in humans. White Sox walked off the Guardians 6-5 in their series opener. Sam Antonacci singled home a pair of runs to end the game. Yesterday's game between the Cubs and Mets was rained out. The Bulls acquiring a rim protector as we approach the NBA draft. The Bulls get center Nick Claxton from New Jersey in a trade that involves the Timberwolves and Brooklyn Nets as well. Claxton entering his 8th NBA season, served as the Nets starting center over the last 4. The news, a service of America 250. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but in 2 minutes, a check of your AccuWeather forecast.
The Sean Thompson Show.
I don't care what they are, a doctor, a lawyer, a butcher, a baker, or a candlestick maker. If they're a Democrat, they're a frickin' criminal. They do nothing, good for nothing. They cannot tell the truth. They pretend to be what exactly? Anything other than what they are. The greatest political mafia this country's ever seen.
The Sean Thompson Show, weekday afternoons at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
Stuck in Illinois? Between the taxes, the politics, the weather, it's exhausting. But leaving isn't as simple as packing up and going. That's where LeavingIL.com comes in. We help you create a smart step-by-step plan so you don't make the wrong move at the wrong time. Start with our quick exit readiness assessment today. Go to LeavingIL.com. That's LeavingIL.com. Or call 224-800-6979.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Giving your liver a spring cleaning is easy with Active Liver from New Nordic. Search for Active Liver by New Nordic on Amazon, CVS, Wegmans, or GNC.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect sunny skies giving way to more clouds later on. The temperature will reach a high of 75. Tonight, the clouds will start to break up with a low of 59. Tomorrow, anticipate a mix of sunshine and clouds with a chance of showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon. Keep an eye out for gusty winds and small hail with any downpours. The high temperature will be 79. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
I got to tell you, you know how talented a newsman Mike Scott is? He could relay the story of the proposal for a gun violence reduction department in the city of Chicago without laughing hysterically. He can do it straight. I can't do that. I don't have the intestinal fortitude. The city's Department of Gun Violence Reduction. Yeah, we call that police. No. This is not redundant. No, of course not. And as Father Flager said over the weekend, the good father there on the south side, St. Sabina, what's his work product look like after 3 decades? we don't want to hear Trump's offer to send law enforcement resources. You just send us the money, and we'll take it from there.
Shut up, Donald. Just send money and restore the money you took away from gun violence prevention for the city of Chicago and across this country.
We got
Give
a
the
gun
money back
violence
now.
reduction department we're trying to stand up over here. I mean, wow. As I mentioned, our top story, we are under a trans-femicide state of emergency in Chicago for the foreseeable future. I assume there'll be weekly, biweekly, at least monthly updates to the state of emergency. I don't really know what you're supposed to do about this exactly. I know some people think trans-femicide, is that like a lawn care product? No. According to BLM Brandon, for many transgender Chicagoans, I'm quoting him, the sense of belonging they deserve in their city has been denied by exclusion and barriers to opportunity in spaces that should feel safe and welcoming. Which ones? Since declaring a trans-femicide state of emergency, first letter caps, trans-femicide state of emergency, serious. Our administration has strengthened the city's capacity to support LGBTQ plus Chicagoans. What about the 2SIA? Our administration has strengthened the city's capacity to support LGBTQ plus Chicagoans. This framework builds on the work by centering the voices and lived experiences of trans Chicagoans to chart a path toward a safer, more connected city. I mean, that is Kamala Harris quality. That's a word jumble. I'm so befuddled. I'm maybe there is a state of emergency. I don't know. No, I do know. This is, of course, silliness, and everybody's having their whack at this piñata because it's just so absurd, right? The number of trans women that were murdered in Chicago last year, 0. The number of other people murdered, 416. The other problem, of course, is that all of this data they rely on is cooked. So you can't take anything at face value. It all comes from these advocacy groups. The sorts of advocacy groups that say the Nashville school shooter, Covenant school shooter, there was no clear political motivation for the he-she mass shooting. I mean, despite the manifesto that was released that shows all sorts of animus in the direction of Christians and MAGA and so forth. Right, but they don't determine, so that you can't include that if you want to have a conversation about is there some dynamic among those who identify on the imagined manufactured gender spectrum when it comes to violent tendencies, or are there some cues, because you're seeing a spike in that particular demographic? It's complicated. I don't know that the answer is clear to it, but it's a fair question to ask. But you can't ask fair questions and get fair answers because it's all wrapped up in the silliness of this identitarian politics, as nicely demonstrated by BLM Brandon. I mean, his nickname wouldn't be BLM Brandon if he wasn't a dyed-in-the-wool identitarian. And in case you didn't think he was, I think he just proved he is trans-femicide. I mean, not to mention some of the data that is more reliable doesn't come from these advocacy groups like the Human Rights Campaign or the Trevor Project. The majority of crimes committed against men identifying as women, trans women, men identifying, it's domestic. This is like, they're romantic partners. So, in other words, it's not the boogeyman that there are some, cis white men who want to, suppress, subjugate, violate trans people. No. We just don't want you grooming kids, and we don't want to be forced to finance your lifestyle or celebrate it. I mean, nope, not good enough. I know. But just to give you a little color on what I'm talking about when it comes to this unreliable data, because you'll hear like the activewear Antifa in the suburbs that so many of you live around, they'll spew this nonsense because they're just repeating some talking point they heard or saw online from the Trevor Project or the Human Rights Campaign. They're waving their little flag because they don't have a functioning brain. A recent survey that looked at trans-identified teens and the sort of trying to assess mental health, suicidal ideation. I mean, serious issues. But this is how these organizations manipulate data. First of all, it was done by one of these organizations I just mentioned, the Trevor Project. So, of course, they're going to manipulate it. Ostensibly, this is focused on suicide prevention. The survey asked respondents, more than 16,000 self-identified LGBTQ plus people between the ages of 13 and 24, about mental health systems and suicide risk, access to treatment, mental health, the impact of anti-LGBTQ policies across a host of domains, and about best ways to support the trans-identified youth. This good write-up on this from Joseph Figliola, I think is how you pronounce it, at City Journal. Too many vowels. All right. The interpreters of those who conducted this survey assume that the respondents' high levels of poor mental health, more than a third of respondents reported seriously considering suicide, which is awful. Nobody's happy about that. I don't want anybody to kill themselves. As I said before, these are people that are struggling with mental health, and they should be, provided compassion and professional assistance so they don't harm themselves. Nobody wants that. But that doesn't give you license to lie about what's happening. The high level of poor mental health. Over a third of respondents reported seriously considering suicide. The Trevor Project's finding, 9 out of 10 LGBTQ youth say recent anti-LGBTQ laws, policies, and debates have caused them stress and anxiety. So their conclusion is that the policies and rhetoric associated with people who are not fully, not offering full-throated celebrations of whatever the Trevor Project is promoting negatively impacts the mental health of LGBTQ young people and is instigating this spike in suicidal ideation. However, that purposely precludes the idea there were mental health issues prior to identifying as trans, prior to sublimating this identity, and that the mental health issues now they're leading the witness with these questions into saying, well, the reason you feel duress, the reason you're so despondent you're considering something terrible like committing suicide is because of these people promoting policies that are against your interests. So it's just an example of why you can't buy the rap that's used to announce some sort of trans femicide state of emergency in the city of Chicago, for goodness sakes. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Not to say there aren't issues, not to say we shouldn't, we don't treat everyone with dignity. I mean, all of the normal stipulations that we shouldn't have to make because we're among reasonable people. But when you're dealing with the unreasoned and necessarily the unkind, you have to sort of provide a foundation to say, nice try, but what you're trying to impose upon me, not my actual views, not what I think, not what I want to see happen, and what you're saying I know is not happening. Not in the way you think. Mike in Union, you're on Chicago's Morning.
Yeah, Dan, you're exactly right. I mean, they promoted this. They played on the emotions of people. They're the ones at fault. They're the ones that caused all this. all this suicide. Back in the day, if somebody was weird, you just ignored them, you moved on. You didn't hear about transgender or LGBT suicide. They're the ones at fault in all of this. They created a problem, and now they're profiting from it. What a joke.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Yeah. No, I mean, all this, would you rather have a live son or a dead daughter or vice versa? All of this really ghoulish, reprehensible mischaracterization of the discussion. And now you have the abject pandering of BLM Brandon, who, by the way, has his own mental health issues. I mean, I'm not even being sarcastic. The discussions that have bled out into the public about the anxiety attacks he has, I have it on pretty good authority that he routinely sees mental health professionals. I'm sure the job comes with a lot of pressure, particularly when you're out over your skis.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal. But if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneInc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneInc.com. Tech made personal, locally.
Have you been watching gold and silver lately? Hard to ignore. Back in January of 2025, silver was under $30 an ounce, and now it's more than doubled. Again, not bad, right? Some experts say this bull market is just getting started. Others say it's a good time to take some money off the table. Either way, whether you're buying or selling, Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is the place to go. They stock large quantities of all the major bullion coins and bars. And here's what sets them apart. Unlike places that only pay melt value, Fox Valley Coins pays more for high-grade coins and scarcer dates. That's real money left in your pocket. They also buy scrap sterling flatware, jewelry, silver-plated items, and old proof sets. And they specialize in U.S. and foreign collector and investment coins and currency, both buying and selling. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Ferry Road in Naperville. Family-owned with integrity since 1981.
With things moving fast to resolve the situation in the Middle East, the headlines may change, but the fundamentals haven't. America's debt continues to climb, and uncertainty still hangs over the global economy. That's why investors continue turning to one asset that has stood the test of time: physical gold and silver. For generations, gold has been viewed as a safe haven asset during periods of geopolitical tension and market volatility. That's why Advantage Gold wants to send you a free gold investment guide valued at $49, plus a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's acclaimed book, Our Dollar, Your Problem, when you call 800-900-8000. Discover why central banks are buying gold, why many Americans are diversifying with precious metals, and how a tax and penalty-free rollover into physical gold and silver may fit into your retirement strategy. Don't wait until the next crisis dominates the headlines. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000 right now. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life. AM 560, The Answer.
Just a postscript on our discussion of the trans-femicide state of emergency that has been declared by Brandon Johnson. Text from Amish, the Amish texter, that is. Do I have to buy a Subaru for this trans-femicide state of emergency? You don't have to, but it would be nice. It would be great allyship if you did. I was also reminded by a texter of this study out of Finland this past spring that we covered on this show a couple times. Finland looked at the mortality rates, including the suicide rates of Finns under the age of 23 who had psychiatric help for gender identity between the years 1996 and 2019. 2.5 decades. Suicide was rare among adolescents who sought psychiatric help within the time frame analyzed in the study, regardless of whether they received trans drugs or surgeries. Although adolescents who struggle with gender identity issues did have higher rates of suicide than the general population. The discrepancy according to these researchers, appeared to be rooted in deeper underlying psychological health problems the youths were facing, rather than a lack of access to trans drugs or surgeries. The study also noted that adolescents who struggle with their gender identity commonly have other underlying psychological health problems. Right. Yes. And thus the Trevor Project coming out essentially with their response to try to muddy the waters here. The study noted that adolescents, I should say, the study argues, I'm quoting here, psychiatric morbidities are also common in this population. Therefore, the risk of suicide related to trans identity and or gender dysphoria per se may have been overestimated. Yes. And since we're on BLM Brandon, if we can move past the trans-femicide, return to the general violence problem. Flager, shut up Donald Trump and give us our money for gun violence prevention so that we can put some more violence interrupters on CTA platforms or in St. Sabina's neighborhood to no particular effect. But don't forget BLM Brandon's infamous, incantation on the subject of systemic violence in Chicago. It's not his fault. Not any Chicago mayor's fault. We had a chance way back when, before BLM Brandon roamed the earth. And those who preceded BLM Brandon failed him and black Americans in general. You know who I'm talking about. That's right. Richard Nixon.
Black death has been unfortunately accepted in this country for a very long time. We had a chance 60 years ago to get at the root causes, and people mocked President Johnson. And we ended up with Richard Nixon. I'm going to work hard every day to transform this city. That's what it takes to build a better, stronger, safer Chicago. I need everybody to step up.
I mean, there's just so much there. He just packs so much into his unique take on history. I mean, can we just start with the fact that LBJ was a virulent racist? He's invoking LBJ as some sort of savior for black Americans. By the way, the Great Society persisted through Nixon into present day, didn't it? If that was the big chance, the Great Society, that didn't go away. That's only increased exponentially. And what has, $30 trillion gotten us? A bigger, better, stronger, safer black community? Intact black families, better educational attainment, more black politicians in office than ever. And yet the problems persist. Wonder why that is. We mocked LBJ. I mean, he was certainly a fair subject for derision, but we mocked him into what? Not running? LBJ, the rough and tumble guy from Texas? It's just really something to behold. The interesting thing is that I don't know, a third of the city's population thinks that he's doing a good job. And the alternatives are sort of slightly less, what's the word, overtly identitarian than he is, but they're all reading from the same playbook. They're all walking down the same path, just at sort of different paces. He just says things that are more outlandish and more ignorant than others are willing to say. But that's how you get ahead in politics today, particularly in Chicago and Illinois, it seems to me. We got a Senate candidate who's running on a campaign of F you, Donald Trump. F Trump. That's her tagline for the United States Senate. That's Illinois. It's now 6 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
Iran's president goes to Pakistan. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, continuing talks that got going over the weekend in Switzerland with Vice President Vance leading the way for the U.S. to prevent Iran from having nuclear weapons.
I trust actions. And what the president has asked us to do is verify what they're doing, focus less on what they're saying.
The vice president touts that Iran's allowing nuclear inspectors back into the country. That's, though, being disputed.
Iran's ambassador to the United Nations says there has been no discussion on allowing in inspectors from the International Atomic Energy Agency. He insists Iranian nuclear activities are for the next stage of talks with the United States.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. President Trump insists if Iran does not comply with the deal signed during the 60 days of further talks,
I will do what I have to do.
Meanwhile, Hezbollah claims Israel's violating a ceasefire in Lebanon, firing at civilians, but the Israelis claim they struck armed terrorists who posed a threat to their soldiers.
Hezbollah is to blame here. They killed 5 Israeli soldiers over the weekend. They've been launching drones at Israeli forces in southern Lebanon, and we do expect this issue to remain a priority of conversation in the Memorandum of Understanding.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. The polls opening now in Maryland and South Carolina for primaries and runoffs. The voting started an hour ago in New York, where several progressive and socialist candidates are trying to win Democratic primaries for Congress. They'll also vote today in Utah. Now an update in the Nancy Guthrie case. More than 4 months after she was abducted from her home in Arizona, we're learning a second kidnapping ransom note that the Guthrie family got told them she had died.
The note said Nancy was, quote, buried with nature. The sender or senders of the first 2 ransom notes have not been publicly identified, and there have been no reported arrests in connection to them. The notes were received within days of Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. The first note demanded millions in Bitcoin in exchange for Nancy's return.
That's Fox's Todd Pyro. America's listening to Fox News.
54 degrees in Chicago. 6:02 is our time on AM 560. The Answer. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. One man is dead in a shooting inside an auto repair facility on the west side. Police say the victim was shot during a fight yesterday at that business in the 2100 block of South Washtenaw. Following another weekend of serious gun violence, city and anti-gun activists gathered outside of City Hall Monday to propose the creation of a new city department focused solely on fighting gun violence.
We cannot continue to rebuild the plane while it is in the air under every administration.
Activists say the proposed Department of Gun Violence Reduction is not a redundant department. Kane County Coroner's Office confirming body pulled from the Fox River in Elgin over the weekend belongs to a missing teen. 16-year-old Destiny Neal was located Sunday in the river north of the Kimball Street Bridge. Cause of death is still being determined. There's a new entrant into the race for Chicago's mayor. Dr. Lisa Nee is entering the 2027 Chicago mayor's race with an unusual resume. A cardiologist with an MBA and a former ICU nurse and VA whistleblower raised in Humboldt Park. As the Chicago Bears seriously consider a move to Northwest Indiana, they do continue talks with Illinois officials about potential next moves. 2 new long shot suitors have stepped up to try and pitch themselves as the future home of a Bears stadium. one on the southeast side of Chicago, the other scandal-plagued McCook. And according to Politico, an announcement possibly involving the convening of a special legislative session could come as soon as Wednesday. A home explosion here in northern Illinois forced the evacuation of 300 to 400 residents on Monday, leaving one person with serious injuries in Dixon. White Sox walked off the Guardians 6-5 in their series opener. Cubs and Mets were rained out. The news, a service of Fox Valley Coins. It's a great time to bring in your scrap gold jewelry, sterling flatware, cash or check offered on the spot. FoxValleyCoins.com. A check of the roads in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Alex Marlowe sees great numbers from the economy.
We got 172,000 jobs. The forecast was 85,000 new jobs. So this is twice as much. The trend that we're accelerating, economists have underestimated job growth now 3 straight months, as noted. 3 months average, widely considered a more reliable gauge.
The Alex Marlowe Show. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250 micro to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
Here it comes. Surprise! There's an avocado shortage! Now half your food truck menu is costing more than it's making you! Also, you're out of napkins!
Those aren't cheap! Progressive knows small business owners usually don't like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise? Saving 13% on commercial auto insurance when you pay in full.
Also, an ice cream truck stole your parking spot! Looks like you're in a turf war!
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
If you're over 65 and struggling with knee pain, Joint Relief Institute offers a guaranteed way to treat it. It's non-surgical and often covered by Medicare and private insurance. It's JRI's joint arthritis treatment, knee lubrication placement that's so accurate, it's 100% guaranteed and can relieve your knee and shoulder pain in 10 minutes or less. Book your risk-free consultation today and get back to walking, golfing, pickleball to cycling without pain or medication. Call 708-315-6800. Meet the provider, get an x-ray and joint consultation. Why wait? JRI has treated over 30,000 Chicagoans and performed over 400,000 procedures. You could be next. Over 5,000 5-star Google reviews can't be wrong.
Stop living in pain. Call the Joint Relief Institute today, 708-315-6800, or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. That's 708-315-6800 for the Joint Relief Institute. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted.
6:07. Let's get an update on the roads. In our team Hochberg Traffic Center, Blue Island report of a structure fire, 127th and Holman. On the west side, north and southbound Pulaski shut down near Harrison, also due to a structure fire this morning. Bishop Ford, an accident. 2 left lanes are blocked inbound at 130th. Your stop and go from Beaubien Woods, Forest Preserve, Doty Avenue, all the way up to the accident site. Traffic, a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets. Join today, 560theanswer.com/join. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But now a check of your forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect sunny skies giving way to more clouds later on. The temperature will reach a high of 75. Tonight, the clouds will start to break up with a low of 59. Tomorrow, anticipate a mix of sunshine and clouds with a chance of showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon. Keep an eye out for gusty winds and small hail with any downpours. The high temperature will be 79. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is sponsored by Protecting Your Assets with Steve Scheinman. Listen Saturday mornings at 8 Learn more at willsave.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I do want to get to this story about the teacher from U46 who should have been charged with felony murder. Instead, she wasn't charged with anything. She was released. And ICE just recently picked her up in Kentucky. U46 high school teacher up there in Elgin. The driver, the wheel woman, in a triple homicide. Mike Tobin, Fox News, has the story.
Giovanna Mercedes Moreno Ochapinte, 32 years old, first entered the U.S. in October of 2021 with the visa waiver program. But she was supposed to leave January 2nd, 2022, and she overstayed her visa. Skip forward to December 2nd, 2024, when the Department of Homeland Security says she drove two gunmen affiliated with the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua to a house party in the Gage Park area of Chicago, where they allegedly opened fire. 3 people were killed, several others injured. Federal authorities say Moreno Ochapinte also helped the gunman flee the scene. Ochapinte, I should say. The 2 men she allegedly drove to the scene also helped the gunman flee the scene. Ochapinte, I should say. The 2 men she allegedly drove to the scene and helped escape, Ricardo Grandillo Padilla and Edward Martinez Sermeno, have both been arrested and deported. Chicago police arrested this former teacher December 5th, 2025. Federal authorities say she had weapons in her car at the time of the arrest.
She had weapons in her car at the time of the arrest. She was arrested by Chicago police on charges of unlawful use of weapons and other weapons offenses. As I said, she should have been charged with felony murder. She drove them to the scene. They killed 3 people and injured 5 others. She helped them escape. The definition of felony murder is participating in a felony. If you participate in the commission of a felony, then you are culpable for whatever damage that felony produces. You know, like 3 people being murdered. But that's not what happened. She was released without ICE ever being notified, because Chicago is a sanctuary city because we're welcoming people. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office decided not to prosecute the suspects, and as Tobin reported, the 2 murderers were deported. Well, that's okay, but of course it's not okay, generally speaking, and this is what Tom Homan had to say about this latest high-profile, head-shaking incident.
City policies, the dangerous policies of these sanctuary, states, sanctuary cities. Look, she was complicit in the murder of 3 people, and they didn't honor or detain her, release her back to the street. Like I say it again, President Trump has promised the American people he's going to make this country safe again, and one of the ways he's going to do that is remove illegal aliens or public safety threats. So ICE is going to continue to do their job, but let's be clear. It makes it less efficient. It makes it harder to do that job. We have local law enforcement that won't help us. And it's not the police officers in Chicago. Last time I was up there doing an operation, I had numerous Chicago police officers come up and thank us for doing what we're doing. It's the politicians. It's Mayor Johnson. It's Governor Pritzker that doesn't want. They rather see public safety at risk than give President Trump what they think a win by decreasing crime in their cities. It's ridiculous.
It's a sickness. But I'll tell you what, we do have a trans femicide state of emergency. So I'm pretty serious about that. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com. Call and text line. Just another, I don't even know what to say about these stories anymore with respect to Chicago and Illinois. I don't know how many people of every, intersectional score range have to be harmed or killed before you say people who are promoting these policies are menaces. They're the public menace. Jelly Belly and Tony and BLM Brandon and the legislative bodies from Springfield to Cook County to Chicago. And, a lot of suburban areas, too, especially up there in Lake County with Mr. Safety Act, guy in the heart, the Lake County State's Attorney. I don't know. I mean, I guess I feel compelled to report the stories, number one, because I know they're not going to get reported locally. And number two, because I feel like somebody has to owe a duty to all the victims of these crimes, these preventable crimes. I mean, I can't help but think of our friends like the Abrahams, the McCanns, and so many other angel families or families who have suffered greatly because of these lawless policies, these pro-predator policies, which is what they are. And of course, she's a former teacher at U46. Can't let that go unemphasized, can we? Of course she is. It was either U46 or CPS. All the red shirts. In other news, the administration is moving, in addition to Tom Homan's work and the work of enforcement and recovery operations from ICE to remove people like these individuals just profiled from this country, or at least from the public, civil society. The administration is taking other steps to effectively remove people who've overstayed. They're gaming the system. And many of the people who've overstayed who are overstaying so they can continue being the political agitators that they became when they landed on a college campus. And a sort of notorious example, you want to talk about a professional student, Mohsen Madawi. He's 34 years old. He's at Columbia. Of course he's at Columbia. And he's been an undergrad at Columbia for 15 years. He's really slow walking at, he's having a difficult time finding a major he can really commit to. He's like Diane Chambers on Cheers. I mean, 15 years. Why has he been there for 15 years? Well, CBS News, in scare quotes, caught up with him because he's a fascinating young man. Well, not so young anymore, who is standing up to the Trump administration.
My name is Mohsen Mahdawi. In America, I go by Mohsen, like Moses with an N. Mm-hmm. I'm still a student at Columbia University.
You're still enrolled?
Yes.
He had a message for President Trump.
I am not afraid of you.
Why was it important for you to speak directly to Donald Trump as you were walking out free?
There is this philosophy of intimidation. So I wanted to share to them that you can do whatever you want. You will not silence me.
Well, we're going to not hear you as loudly as we used to because you gone. Just like your buddy, I mean, I don't know if they're buddies, but same, cut from the same cloth, Mahmoud Khalil, who was a great anti-Semitic, anti-Trump, anti-American activist on the College of Columbia University as well. The White House has cleared a rule to cut duration of status with a 2 to 4 year limit on foreign students so they can no longer be, quote unquote, forever students, like taking 15 years to knock out their BA. The rule affects certain visa classifications, F1, J1, and I visas, work, study, media, and journalism, which would close a long-term legal migration loophole. So there's, again, the progress isn't occurring as fast as we want, but it's a lot to get your arms around, a lot that was inherited to get your arms around, and high-profile examples that speak to gaps in policy that the president can close, this administration can close. They're doing their darn well best to close them.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Platform safety is critical at your commercial and industrial facility. Keeping people safe and meeting OSHA requirements isn't optional. That's why Vans Industrial offers free platform inspections by professional structural engineers who know exactly what to look for. Problems with platforms, ladders, or stairs can lead to costly fines or worse. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to protect people in your facility.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. With decades of experience, I bring long-standing industry knowledge from inspecting, correcting, and replacing countless platforms to make facilities safer. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor equipped to modify or replace steel catwalks, handrails, stairways, and ladders. Our union building trades professionals fabricate and install high-quality steel systems that create safer work environments.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free platform inspection by professional structural engineers. See what else we can do for you. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com.
Hey, if you're living with joint pain, listen up. Is your life filled with I can't raise my arms, I can't climb stairs, I can't kneel down, I can't take a long walk or golf with the guys? Well, today's a new day, so take action, a day to celebrate what you can do, and that's exactly what QC Kinetics patients are doing. Back to enjoying their lives again thanks to the innovative treatments offered at QC Kinetics. I've seen the results and personally recommend Dr. Caravelli and her team. So many of you have been through their life-changing regenerative treatments done right in the office, so there's no missing work, there's no surgery, there's no long recovery, and the inflammation calms down. Schedule a free consultation today. You don't have to live a life of I can't. Have a conversation with my friends at QC Kinetics and tell them I sent you when you do. The treatments are natural, so don't watch summer pass you by again. Take action today by scheduling an appointment right now. Consultations are free. All you do is call 312-827-6261 to get that done. Again, the number 312-827-6261. Get pain-free this summer by calling QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the Retirement Tax Bill Calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com. Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim. My friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, how are you? Welcome back.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Tim, for more than 25 years, you've been helping clients achieve financial security and peace of mind. Can you give our listeners some examples of how you've helped clients over the years?
A couple of your listeners called in. They're a married couple. They're in their 60s. They were really concerned and tired of trying to manage their own investments. So their accounts were quite big, but they felt like they needed a little help with it so they didn't screw up at this stage of the game. So they couldn't afford to lose any money in the market moving forward, and trying to manage retirement on a fixed income was kind of a daunting task for them. So with about $1.5 million in 401k savings and other stocks and bonds, we rearranged their portfolios so that they had guaranteed future income, less volatility in the market, and of course tax savings. So now they have this peace of mind because they know that they have a protect and grow blueprint.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns, TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free Protect and Grow blueprint. Call 1-800-640-2256. Again, that number, 800-640-2256. Tell him I sent you when you call Tim at 800-640-2256.
AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Gee, who could have seen this coming? Tucker Carlson, not really with a big announcement. It was sort of made off the cuff on a Canadian podcast. Tucker Carlson can take it no longer. He is out of the Republican Party. He will not be supporting Republican candidates. He will not be voting Republican. Tucker Carlson on the Can't Be Censored podcast in the Great White North.
Tell a pretty clear story about it. I would not support the Republican Party. There's no chance I would support the Republican Party. I'm not going to support the Democratic Party. I don't know what I'm going to do. But at this point, how could I or any American voter support a political party that's not loyal to the United States, that puts the interests of a foreign country above those of its own citizens? That's it's not possible to vote for people like that, and I'm not going to. And I think I voted Republican my entire life. I worked at Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. I've been a consistent defender for 35 years of the Republican Party. I mean, very consistent defender. But there's no defending this because it's immoral, and it's exactly the opposite of what a political party in a democracy is charged with doing, which is representing its own voters, its own citizens, its own nation, and they're not doing that. So, no, I'm out. And if I'm out, then I think a lot of other people are out.
312-642-5600. Are you going to join Tucker Carlson in mad dash for the exits from the Republican Party? Because, his theory, Israel talked Trump into this campaign against the Islamists in Tehran. And I guess that's indicative that the Trump administration is putting the interests of Israel ahead of the interests of America, because that's who he's talking about, clearly, and has been talking about somewhat obsessively. Leave the Republican Party. I've declined to support Republican nominees for office before, so I'm not, a Republican Party or bust guy either. But I find the whole thing, there's a lot of descriptions I could offer, but let me just start with immature. I find it just terribly immature. You have a policy disagreement on a particular issue or particular belief about a relationship with an ally, and so you're going to walk from the party altogether. This is, of course, this feels to me like it's staged, like he's trying to set up a play to be some sort of Nigel Farage figure in America, or maybe worse. I don't know. Because certainly Nigel Farage didn't come to prominence in the UK by indulging cranks and black helicopter conspiracists and prattling on behalf of Islamist theocrats while taking cheap shots and saying things that are just patently untrue about the Israelis. Not to mention the Trump administration. Nigel Farage, an ally. So, I can see maybe what he's trying to do, but it's going to have to look very different than what Nigel Farage and the Brexit folks have done, which looks more like the MAGA folks here. It's funny. What he sounds like? You listen to Tucker Carlson talk of late for any extended period of time, he almost becomes indistinguishable from one newly minted mayor of New York City.
Some members of the Jewish community, including Democratic Congressman Josh Gottheimer, were alarmed by the language he used at the rally last week, calling AIPAC monsters who move dark money. These are phrases that invoke old anti-Semitic tropes and conspiracy theories. What do you say to those who are concerned that the language you used is dangerous?
Now, I want to be very clear. We're talking about a status quo where children are being killed on a daily basis. More than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed by the Israeli military since the so-called ceasefire. Even an Al Jazeera journalist, Ahmed Wisha was killed this past Saturday by an Israeli strike. And when I am speaking about AIPAC, I'm speaking about an organization that has been supportive of the status quo, that has fought any attempt to actually deliver safety to people, not just in Palestine, but frankly, through much of the region. And it is a status quo for immorality. It is one that I will not accept.
Immorality,
and when it comes
that's that word
to
again.
the way in which they defend the status quo, oftentimes they defend it through direct contributions, as we are seeing right now in New York 13. Oftentimes they also support the status quo through dark money, by filtering money that would have previously been directly from AIPAC, now through other shell organizations whose identities of their contributors are only made clear after an election. And I think that it is important that when we ask ourselves how such death and destruction is happening overseas, we also name those who allow it to take place.
I'm no fan of AIPAC because they support people like Espaillat in that race against that Daralisa lunatic. I mean, but Espaillat's a socialist. Why even waste your money? They're both terrible. So, you know, AIPAC is establishment. That's the funny thing about it. So I'm not any big cheerleader for AIPAC. But, I mean, this guy, Mamdani, they run money through different organizations. You mean like Arabelle Advisors in your party? You mean like CARE? You mean like these Islamist charities that are fronts for terrorist organizations across the world? You mean like your chummy imams that are also allied with terrorists in New York City and throughout the Arab world and these theocracies? I mean, give me a break, please. Bill in Northwest Side.
You know, just when you stop hearing his name, he thinks he has to say something to get his name back out there again. So that's his deal. He needs to get his name out there to get to see if he can make himself more relevant, which he isn't right now.
Thanks for the call. You know, so he and Candace and Marjorie Taylor Greene. I love Tucker to be like, you know, I know you're tight with Marjorie Taylor Greene. That was said in the podcast. It's like, boy, how the mighty have fallen. He's tight with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Gosh, I can't imagine that Tucker Carlson starting out at Fox News and Marjorie Taylor Greene spending a lot of quality time together. Let me just put it that way. By the way, since Mamdani brought it up, there's a reason that propaganda that he was promulgating has an audience. There's a lot of reasons. One of them is the media. And I thought this was an interesting disclosure from Maddie Friedman, who's a former reporter for the Associated Press, about how the Associated Press, and thus every other outlet in the West, covered the war in Gaza and covers Gaza generally speaking, which is to say, runs cover for Hamas. Take a listen.
As far as I know, I was the first staffer to erase information from a story because we were threatened by Hamas, which happened at the very end of 2008. We had a great reporter in Gaza, a Palestinian, who had always been really an excellent reporter. We had a detail in a story. The detail was a crucial one. It was that Hamas fighters were dressed as civilians and were being counted as civilians in the death toll. An important thing to know, that went out in an AP story. The reporter called me a few hours later. It was clear that someone had spoken to him. And he told me, I was on the desk in Jerusalem, so I was kind of writing the story from the main bureau in Jerusalem. And he said, Mati, you have to take that detail out of the story. And it was clear that someone had threatened him. I took the detail out of the story. I suggested to our editors that we note in an editor's note that we were now complying with Hamas censorship. I was overruled. And from that point in time, the AP, like all of its sister organizations, collaborates with Hamas censorship in Gaza. What does that mean? You'll see a lot of dead civilians and you won't see dead militants. You won't have a clear idea of what the Hamas military strategy is. And this is the kicker, the center of the coverage will be a number, a casualty number that is provided to the press by something called the Gaza Health Ministry, which is Hamas. And we've been doing that since 2008. And it's a way of basically settling the story before you get into any other information. Because when you put, when you say 50 Palestinians were killed and 1 Israeli on a given day, it doesn't matter what else you say. The numbers kind of tell their own story, and it's a way of kind of settling the story with something that sounds like a concrete statistic, and the statistic is being, given to us by one of the combatant sides. But because the reporters sympathize with that side, they're happy to play along. So since 2008, certainly since 2014, when we had another serious war in Gaza, the press has not been covering in Gaza. The press has been essentially an amplifier for one of the most poisonous ideologies on earth. Hamas has figured out how to make the press amplify its messaging rather than covering Hamas. There are no Western reporters in Gaza. All of the reporters in Gaza are Palestinians, and those people fall into three categories. Some of them identify with Hamas. Some of them are intimidated by Hamas and won't cross Hamas, which makes a lot of sense. I wouldn't want to cross Hamas either. And the third category is people who actually belong to Hamas. That's where the information from Gaza is coming from. And if you're credulous, then of course you're going to get a story that makes Israel look pretty bad.
For 2 decades, 3 buckets. Those who are sympathetic to Hamas, those who are intimidated by Hamas, those who are part of Hamas are bringing you the news from the Middle East. Think that has an impact? Let's check the headlines with Mike Scott.
6:35 in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Here in Chicago, one man is dead after a shooting inside an auto repair shop on the west side. The victim was shot during a fight yesterday in the 2100 block of South Washtenaw. Following another weekend of gun violence around the city of Chicago, city and anti-gun activists gathered outside City Hall on Monday morning, trying to create and propose a new city department focused on fighting gun violence.
We cannot continue to rebuild the plane while it is in the air under every administration.
Governor Pritzker also is firing back at President Trump over his comments about weekend gun violence in Chicago.
I don't think that we should be listening to this president about promises that he makes or that he has any idea how to protect us in the state of Illinois.
The governor did say he was deeply concerned about safety of Illinois residents. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian is traveling to Pakistan for talks with leaders mediating negotiations between Tehran and Washington. Meantime, negotiations continue in Switzerland.
President Trump warning Tehran to keep up their end of the bargain or face the consequences.
If Iran doesn't live up to their agreement, or if they're not behaving, I will do what I have to do.
Now, this comes as Vice President J.D. Vance returns from an intense round of talks in Switzerland, reporting that Iran will allow IAEA nuclear inspectors into the country, although Iran says no visits are planned at this point. But the administration is emphasizing a trust but verify approach.
Meantime, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu confirmed that IDF forces will remain in the security zone in southern Lebanon. Tesla now under federal investigation after a Model 3 crashed into a home in Katy, Texas, killing a woman. The Harris County Sheriff's Office says the driver, identified as Michael Butler, slammed into the front room of that home. Butler says he was on autopilot at the time. Illinois may face one less hurdle enacting a law requiring social media and other online platforms to verify the age of users and restrict content to harmful to minors. Late last week, a similar law in Ohio was allowed to move forward. Governor J.B. Pritzker said overnight that despite concerns presented by NetChoice about the constitutionality of an Illinois law that is similar, he'll keep it moving forward.
I'm always concerned to protect people's freedom of speech. So let's just say that, no question about it. I don't see that problem with our Children's Social Media Safety Act. I proposed that Social Media Safety Act, and so I intend to sign it.
The difference, according to lawmakers, is intended to preserve the privacy of users by not allowing age-related data to leave the device beyond initial verification. Chicago sports. White Sox walk off the Guardians 6-5 in their series opener. Cubs and Mets were rained out. Bulls make a trade ahead of the NBA draft, acquiring center Nick Claxton in a 3-team trade. The news, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher explains the new feel of politics.
Everybody is on edge. Everybody's tense. Everybody recognizes there's something different this year. I understand why it's different now. The left is playing by a whole different set of rules. They are starting to openly declare what needs to be done with more than half of the country.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
President Trump has triggered a $200 billion tech disruption, and Wall Street is asleep at the switch. This $200 billion investment in chip technology could make today's artificial intelligence chips obsolete. Technology that will make today's AI data centers a thing of the past, like IBM's old mainframes. While most investors are focused on old-fashioned AI, there are 3 companies quietly building a trillion-dollar triangle that could transform every tech sector on Earth. These 3 companies are gearing up to develop and manufacture supercomputers the size of a dinner plate. Institutions like Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street are pouring more than $200 billion into this AI revolution. Investment guru George Gilder has been predicting tech revolutions for more than 40 years, including the iPhone, Netflix, and Amazon. Now he's got his finger on 3 companies whose technology will change tech forever. Log on to TrillionDollarTriangle.com to find out which 3 companies are working on what could be the biggest tech disruption since the internet. TrillionDollarTriangle.com. That's TrillionDollarTriangle.com.
So Ryan and I came to the decision to get life insurance when I was pregnant with our first son. He really wanted us to be taken care of if something happened to him. He provided for our family in life and also after his death. I think that would make him proud. Ethos makes it fast and easy to get life insurance. Apply in minutes and get same-day coverage.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid testimonial. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Concerned about your retirement account or bank savings? Tired of stock market turbulence? Or simply curious about diversifying with precious metals? Tune into The Gold Show on AM 560, The Answer. Learn how gold and silver can help protect your financial future. Discover insights, strategies, and opportunities designed to help you make smarter decisions and guide you to more confident investing. Don't miss The Gold Show this Saturday morning at 11 on AM 560, The Answer.
Amazon Business. With smart business buying, innovative AI tools optimize your purchasing experience paired with delivery options built for business. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
642, Team Hochberg Traffic Center Time, a service of Bank of America, sponsor of the FIFA World Cup 2026. Dedicated to offering solutions to help businesses meet their goals locally and globally. More at bankofamerica.com/game changers. Dan Ryan, an accident blocking a left center lane. It's in the inbound locals right at 51st. Stevenson knotting up inbound between Harlem and Kedzie, and an accident just reported on the Edens Expressway outbound at Dempster. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. And now a check of your forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Sunshine will give way to clouds and a high of 75.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. How are we doing with our new partners in peace, the Ayatollah and the Islamists in Tehran? That new leaf they're supposedly turning over. Some fits and starts, apparently. I think they've had a couple of relapses as well. The executing dissidents, that seems to be sort of the old totalitarian habits rearing their ugly heads, so to speak, again. The head of Iran's judiciary said of Trump is an arrogant, boastful, selfish, resentful, vile, promise-breaking person. How can one trust someone like that? And who even trusts the U.S.? Negotiations today are a way to confront the enemy and thwart its plans. Negotiations do not mean that we trust them, nor do they mean that we are surrendering. Sort of bellicose rhetoric in the face of J.D. Vance's chumminess. The Iranian Parliament Speaker, Galibaf, the Strait of Hormuz will be managed by Iran under Iranian terms. Quote, I was among the first to say clearly at the start of the war, everyone should know that the management of the Strait of Hormuz will never return to the way it was before the war. He also added that Iran has never trusted the Americans and never will. But that rings familiar. I'm having a hard time seeing where they, I guess maybe privately they said, the last 18 years of our posture towards America, big mistake, turning over a new leaf that got J.D. Vance all excited. Tim Sheehy, who is a Navy SEAL, he's also the Republican senator from Montana, he had this to say with Brian Kilmeade, reminding some people who apparently need reminding of who we're dealing with.
Well, of course, we hope this can be successful. I hope that Vice President Vance and Kushner and Witkoff are successful in convincing Iran to be a normal country and to open their minds and stop trying to murder their neighbors and destroy the world. But the reality is this is a murderous regime that doesn't want a deal. They don't want $6 gasoline. They don't want the straits to be open. They want you and your family and all of us to be killed. They want to wipe our civilization off the map. That's their national motto.
Nothing's changed.
And I don't think we've been successful in communicating that to the American people, that this isn't a regime that wants to negotiate. They want to buy time. They want to buy as much time as they can because President Trump's the only president who's ever actually gone after them head-to-head, who's shown them that if you kill Americans, if you come after our country, we're going to hit you back. And from Soleimani to Midnight Hammer to the most recent campaign, he's the first president ever to actually go after this regime. So what we're seeing now is what the rope-a-dope they usually perform, which is buy time, try to lead us along till hopefully President Trump and this team's out of office and they can re-up their campaign. So hopefully this is successful, but we have to remind ourselves we are dealing with a regime that will not negotiate in good faith. They want you and I dead and all of us to be gone. And they don't want that to happen with the snap of a finger. They want to happen like October 7th times a million. They want us to be wiped off the map from New York to San Diego in a savage manner.
J.D. Vance, though, is excited about the concession he reportedly got yesterday that Iran will allow for nuclear inspectors.
And this is probably what we're most excited about as Americans. The Iranians have agreed to invite IAEA inspectors back into their country. That is a major milestone for the American people and the first step in...
That's a major milestone, is it? Jim Garrity of our National Review has the receipts. He reminds us that in 2004, Iran's so-called moderate former president, the moderates in Tehran. Is there anything more oxymoronic? Emphasis on moronic. Iran's so-called moderate former president Hassan Rouhani boasted he had duped European negotiators while converting yellow cake into uranium hexafluoride at Iran's uranium conversion facility in Isfahan. It was violated in 2004, 2012. A nuclear scientist who was head of Iran's Atomic Energy Organization declared in a newspaper interview that, quote, we presented false information sometimes in order to protect our nuclear position and our achievements, as there is no other choice but to mislead foreign intelligence, unquote. That's 2012. In 2016, Secretary of State John Kerry announced just yesterday, the foreign minister reported to me that the core of the plutonium nuclear reactor is now out, and in the next hours it will be filled with concrete and destroyed. The image of the reactor filled with cement was photoshopped. I mean, if this was so serious. In January of 2019, Iran's Atomic Energy Organization chief said in a television interview that the core was not filled with cement. No kidding. In late February of this year, Iran's foreign minister, Abbas Araghchi, who is part of the negotiating team for them, we have limited the range of our missiles below 2,000 kilometers intentionally. That was a few weeks before Iran fired a ballistic missile nearly 4,000 kilometers. To Tim Sheehy's point, Noah Rothman is senior writer at National Review, author of Blood in Progress, A Century of Left-Wing Violence in America. Noah, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So how does this deal shaping up so far in your estimation?
Well, Here's the thing about multi-stage peace deals with Islamist terrorists in the Middle East, which the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps in control of Iran very much is. They almost never progress beyond stage one. Now, stage one, when it came to the deal with Hamas that the president negotiated and did some high-tempo combat operations inside Gaza, that was great because all it did was expand the Gaza envelope in which Israel would have troops on the ground, control over the territory, and that was internationally recognized, codified in a UN resolution. Hamas didn't get anything. If it never progressed beyond the second stage, which it hasn't yet, it would still be great. Everything about stage one in this deal is terrible from our perspective. Iran gets absolutely everything it wants. Iran gets to sell oil on the market at market prices above ground. None of this is sanctioned anymore. And it gets to recoup hard cash from it to the tune of perhaps $5 billion a day. Likewise, the MOU drives a wedge between the United States and Israel by roping Israel into a deal to which it is not signatory nor party, by equating an entirely different conflict in southern Lebanon against Hezbollah, not the Lebanese government, Hezbollah, and the war in Iran, which Iran previously denied that it had any control over Hezbollah, only under extreme duress and to prevent Hezbollah from being utterly defeated and wiped out. Did it acknowledge that it had control over this terrorist organization? And then Trump, rather than use that leverage, agreed with the Iranian position and now makes Israel the scapegoat for any time Iran provokes or engages in a provocation designed to test its freedom of action and Trump's willingness to absorb humiliations and embarrassments, which it will. All of this is designed to get gas prices down, and it will get gas prices down. But the notion that the American voter will reward this national humiliation, or that Republicans who are previously enthusiastic to vote in the midterms are somehow now enthusiastic to preserve Republican majorities, I just don't see it. And all of this sort of presupposes that Iran doesn't engage in a really horrible, bloody miscalculation as it provokes, and it will provoke. And that compels the president, however reluctantly, to re-engage in high-tempo combat operations against Iran. It's very foreseeable, if not necessarily especially likely, given the president's willingness to subordinate everything he knows about this regime to the political incentives not to engage with it. So I just think we have a conflict here that is going to perpetuate in various different permutations for the foreseeable future. And I don't see any way out of this based on the terms that we're setting for ourselves that's going to result in an advantageous status quo. It's just various flavors of defeat.
Now that Iran is getting flush with cash again, David Harsanyi pointed out the Iranian regime owes American victims of Iranian terrorism more than $50 billion in damages. There are more than 90 judgments against Iran. So I assume that's going to be part of the discussion, too. We're going to make Americans who have a judgment against the Iranian government whole for the acts of terrorism that victimize themselves or their families.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. We're definitely not doing that. Mm-hmm. That's not even part of that's not even part of the conversation.
But that would be to me that would be America first, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that fit in America first orientation?
I suppose the president and the administration just doesn't seem all that interested in negotiating for the terms that it set out to achieve through the war. The war, if you regard it as politics by other means, had a variety of objectives, all of which have been abandoned by this president. And restitution for the victims of Iranian terrorism would definitely be among them, although it wasn't stated at the outset of the war, but a satisfying conclusion to hostilities would at least acknowledge the victims of Iranian terrorism, the American victims and European and Israeli victims of Iranian terrorism. Now, you mentioned a couple of these things that we're trying to, polish this thing in Switzerland, where J.D. Vance is saying, the IAEA is going in, and as you noted, the IAEA has been in. Not only did Obama crow about that, but they were in and on the ground after Operation Midnight Hammer and before Operation Midnight Hammer. The issue is where they get to go, what they get to see, and the safeguards that prevent Iran from proudly, boastfully misleading these inspectors. And the notion here that unfrozen funds, which I'm not even sure we're ever going to get to, would somehow be used to patronize the administration's preferred constituencies, American farmers. Maybe if you can verify that, but who cares? Money is fungible. Republicans have been saying this for a decade now. They have to rediscover all the arguments they made against Obama's Iran nuclear deal. Money is fungible. If you give money, even if you dedicate it to certain purposes, that frees up Iranian cash to do whatever it wants with it. And what it wants to do is to support terrorism and build missiles. And that's exactly what they're going to do. So the notion here that any of this stuff is satisfactory to the American position is, to me, just spin.
And you know, one of the arguments that has been made is this is the best we can do because to do more is to pay too high a price in terms of the combination of military assets plus human lives. If we were to try to forcibly open the strait, if we were to try to affect regime change. But it's a little, and it's generally unclear to me. I don't know. We've gotten various opinions from experts and the military and geopolitical experts. But the idea that if we could open the strait through force, we would have done it because we haven't done it, therefore we can't do it. It seems to me, difficult.
A little circular.
Yeah, a little circular. And also, too, the people are saying that they don't really have any better handle on the potential cost to be paid, the potential downsides than I do. And frankly, it doesn't seem like anybody does because everybody in the administration, with perhaps the exception of Marco Rubio, has taken every position on this issue that is available to be taken. So it's a little confusing.
Yeah, I have less, not a lot of tolerance for that argument too. It's a more in sorrow articulation of a policy they've already advocated for months. It's not as though the United States Navy is incapable of reopening the strait, or the United States Air Force and Navy warplanes can reopen the strait militarily. They've done that in various forms before. The Iranians muck about with the strait all the time. And in the 1980s, 1987 and 1988, they did attempt to close it with a lot more ordnance than they were able to deploy now because we were interdicting so much of it and destroying the Iranian Navy. So it's not like it can't be done, but it is a very fraught operation, a dangerous operation, and one that could entail U.S. casualties. Or perhaps, I think this is the big fear, an Iranian effort to attack civilian infrastructure around the Gulf, oil production, desalinization plants, really just rain down apocalypse on the region and consign the world to an economic catastrophe. And in the absence of a significant stock of missile interceptors, which are depleted, we would be open to a real catastrophe. I think that's the calculation that the president just was persuaded by, which is not to say that we can't do it, but the president lacks the will to do it. And I'm a little confused about the notion that, missiles are impossible to interdict because, we get this word that the Iranians have 70% of their missile stocks still. Well, they had 100% of their missile stocks at the outset of the war, but those fires slowed to a trickle because we were interdicting them from the air. They'd fire off a missile. We'd use radar to track where it came from, and that missile launcher would be gone. That's the sort of thing that you can get back to in high-tempo combat operations. But the president doesn't have the stomach for a long operation based on the political calendar, based on the midterm elections. He was persuaded by that. Somebody in his ear said, this is too big of a risk and you're going to lose the midterms as a result. Well, what has this done to restore the Republican Party's enthusiasm for Republican majorities? What has this done to mollify the president's critics? Nothing. If anything, it's deepened the GOP's malaise and further emboldened the president's opponents to mete out retribution against him and his government. I don't see how anybody's benefiting from this situation.
Noah Rothman, senior writer, National Review, author of Blood and Progress, A Century of Left-Wing Violence in America. Noah, thanks as always.
Thank you.
And he joined us on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer. AM 560, The Answer.
That sound means it's time for In-Depth History with Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights, because there's nothing new in this world, just the history you don't know, and Frank does. Frank, take it away.
Good morning. Right before signing the MOU with Iran at the historic Palace of Versailles, President Trump had met with other G7 leaders at a place called Evian-le-Bain. Trump knows his history, but I doubt many there knew that at Evian, in the summer of 1938, right after the Anschluss, but before the Sudeten crisis, that a conference was held there on what had become a major Jewish refugee crisis. Only one country, though, the Dominican Republic, opened up to them. Later, in November 1938, a week after the Kristallnacht, the British, possibly sensing the coming horror, had their ambassador to the U.S. asked that the remainder of the 60,000-person quota for British citizens be used to take German and Austrian Jewish refugees instead. Undersecretary of State Sumner Welles, though, made it clear that Washington was not interested. Ultimately, it took the Holocaust for the U.S. to change its position post-war. In the middle of and along the entire Atlantic Ocean, at a depth of 8,000 feet deep, lies the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, where magma rises to the seafloor and pushes in both directions outward, causing continental drift. As the basalt rock cools, it encodes the current magnetism of the Earth. And although it takes at least 1,000 years to fully switch, these ancient rock records show that the magnetic north of the Earth has shifted to the South Pole many times in the past. Could the nature of the Middle East and our relations to it be undergoing such a pole shift? President Richard Nixon, who provided support to Israel during the Yom Kippur War in 1973, said that no U.S. president would let Israel be destroyed. So then why did Trump sign an MOU that he must have known some of his supporters would consider worse than the appeasement at Munich? It's simple. Keeping the Strait of Hormuz open by force would likely require another forever war versus a country with 92 million people. With the midterms coming up.
Nuclear honesty. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Trump insists the U.S. deal with Iran demands. Posting on Truth Social, Iran's agreed to high-level nuclear inspections long into the future, which Iran disputes. The day after the president warned he'll do what he has to do.
If Iran doesn't live up to their agreement, or if they're not behaving.
The president's post also maintains funds for the U.S. that is released for Iran will be controlled by the U.S. and used by Iran to buy food and medical supplies exclusively from the U.S., though Iran also disputes that today. The foreign ministry insists they'll decide how to spend any funds the U.S. unfreezes. And Fox's Trey Yingst reports.
President Trump just moments ago posted to Truth Social saying 19 million barrels of oil flowed out of the Hormuz Strait yesterday. He goes on to say an all-time record. Oil prices are tumbling down and the world is a much safer place.
And oil, meanwhile, is slightly higher today, but WTI is only about $10 a barrel higher than before the Iran conflict sent oil and gas prices surging. It's up to 7 people in custody now, and the plot the FBI thwarted to attack the UFC event on the White House lawn earlier this month.
2 more men have been arrested by the FBI, this time in Missouri and Washington State. Prosecutors allege the plot called for explosive-laden drones to strike near the White House before sniper teams opened fire on attendees.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson at the White House. It's primary day in Maryland, Utah, and New York, where this is a big question.
So just how influential is New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani? We're about to find out. Multiple Mamdani-backed candidates are hoping to bring their agenda to Congress, including fellow Democratic Socialists Daria-Liza Villa-Chevalier and Claire Valdez.
That's Fox's Doug Luzader. There are also runoffs in South Carolina. President Trump likes the Republicans running for governor so much he endorses both. A big trade in the NBA ahead of the draft tonight. The Milwaukee Bucks sending star Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Miami Heat for players and draft picks. America's listening to Fox. In Chicago, sunshine this morning, 55 degrees at 7:02 in the QC Kinetics newsroom. No one is in custody after a ride-share driver was shot on Chicago's west side. Detectives say the victim was dropping off passengers last night in the 1300 block of South Central Park Avenue when he was shot and listed this morning in good condition. Governor Pritzker yesterday fired back at President Trump over his comments over the weekend about gun violence in Chicago.
I don't think that we should be listening to this president about promises that he makes or that he has any idea how to protect us in the state of Illinois.
The governor made statements yesterday saying he was deeply concerned about safety in the state. Chicago police are investigating recent sexual assault incidents in the South Shore neighborhood. Authorities say female victims were attacked from behind on June 13 and June 15 and then groped by another person. A new entrant into the race for Chicago mayor and a new name, Dr. Lisa Nee, is entering the 2027 Chicago mayor's race. A cardiologist with an MBA and a former ICU nurse, she was trained at the UIC Medical Center. The White Sox walked off the Guardians 6-5 in their series opener. Sam Antonucci singling in a pair of runs to end that game. Yesterday's contest between the Cubs and Mets rained out, and the Bulls were busy. Less than 24 hours ahead of the NBA draft,
acquiring center Nick Claxton in a 3-team trade that involved the Timberwolves and the Brooklyn Nets. The news, a service of the AM 560 store. T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands. When you go to 560theanswer.com/store. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Alex Marlow hopes Musk will keep helping.
What will he do with his trillions? And it'd be pretty cool if he stayed in the political realm and started to fund a lot of stuff, because we need so much help. We need so much help on the right. I really want to make a big list of all the billionaire funders who are ruining the country, but we need to get our own, because that's the system, it's the way it works. So hopefully Musk stays on Team MAGA.
The Alex Marlow Show, afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Let Cole Digital turn your outdoor space into the ultimate entertainment setup. With a 75-inch SunBright outdoor TV that can stay out year-round and great sound throughout. Like planter speakers on the patio, high-quality rock speakers that blend right into your landscape, or bronze garden speakers that blend into the environment. Our technicians will dig a hole and install an in-ground subwoofer for incredible bass and the best in sound quality. We also install outdoor rated access points for Wi-Fi coverage throughout your yard, and cameras that let you keep an eye on everything with motion-activated recording. Tour our Cole Digital Design Center, 15,000 square feet of audio, video, and great design ideas. Cole Digital is family-owned by conservatives that share your values, and we're based right in Frankfurt. Visit Cole Digital today and schedule your consultation. ColeDigital.com. That's KOLE digital.com. Or call 815-469-2000, and we'll bring the showroom to you. 815-469-2000. Cole Digital, what smart living is all about.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250 micro to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
Here he comes. Surprise! There's an avocado shortage! Now half your food truck menu is costing more than it's making you! Also, you're out of napkins!
Those aren't cheap! Progressive knows small business owners usually don't like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise? Saving 13% on commercial auto insurance when you pay in full.
Also, an ice cream truck stole your parking spot! Looks like you're in a turf war!
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Are you 65 or older and dealing with chronic knee or shoulder pain? You're not alone. At the Joint Relief Institute, we've helped thousands find real relief without surgery. Our non-surgical, FDA-approved treatment uses hyaluronic gel that acts like a cushion between the bones in your knee. As we age, the cushion naturally wears down, causing painful grinding and popping. But our gel restores that cushion, allowing your knee to move smoothly again. Ready to stop the pain and get back to doing what you love? Call the Joint Relief Institute at 708-315-6800. Again, that's 708-315-6800.
Move better, live better with JRI.
Move better and live better with JRI. Contact the Joint Relief Institute today and get back to doing what you love. Call 708-315-6800 or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oakbrook, and Orland Park. Call 708-315-6800. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted. Reclaim your mobility with the Joint Relief Institute.
7:07 Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. 2 right lanes are blocked on the outbound Edens this morning. Right at Dempster, a garbage dumpster fell off a trailer, probably a roll-on, roll-off. We're investigating. Blocking lanes right now, 2 right lanes outbound on the Edens at Dempster. Dan Ryan accident being shoved onto the right shoulder. It's in the locals inbound at 51st. And on the Ryan, a left lane blocked with an accident inbound at Canalport. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now a check of your forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect sunny skies giving way to more clouds later on. The temperature will reach a high of 75.
Tonight, the clouds will start to break up with a low of 59. Tomorrow, anticipate a mix of sunshine and clouds, leading to a chance of showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon. Keep an eye out for gusty winds and small hail with any downpours. The high temperature will be 79. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here, and California Congresswoman Ro Khanna, who likes to present as a moderate. All you have to do is listen to him actually rap, and you'll know that that's not true. Went after Elon Musk on this leftist podcast this week, saying enough about all the millionaires he killed at Doge.
And I do believe that once we take power, there has to be accountability. There needs to be accountability for Elon Musk. You know, they're celebrating that he created 4,400 millionaires, but they don't talk about the 4.5 million children around the world who he possibly sentenced to death by dismantling USAID. He needs to answer for that. He needs to be subpoenaed. He needs to answer for what he did with Doge. That it's not just let's move on. And we will use the Oversight Committee and the Judiciary Committee to hold people accountable who violated the law on ICE and abused power with ICE, who violated the law in killing people on boats in the Caribbean, who violated the law when it came to Iran and some of the strikes, who violated the law with Doge.
We will purge as many as quickly as we can with the power that we have. That's the translation. Elon Musk not taking that assertion lying down, suggesting he may sue Ro Khanna for defamation. And he's got a lot of evidence to support. Like, for example, even as USAID funding went up, the reduction in the rates of malaria in USAID beneficiary countries stayed static or actually declined in terms of the inoculation for that disease. Yeah, I mean, USAID was just a repository of fraudsterism and bureaucratic adventurism, completely unbounded from any oversight. What else is new when it comes to Congress? This was Elon Musk talking about his Doge experience shortly after the apex of the relatively shortly lived Doge period in this administration.
Like the president, and very hard to cut things that are obvious waste and fraud, like ridiculous waste and fraud. What I discovered that it's extremely difficult even to cut very obvious waste and fraud from the government. Because the government has to operate on like who's complaining. Like if you cut off payments to fraudsters, they immediately come up with the most sympathetic sounding reasons to continue the payment. They don't say, please keep the fraud going. They say, they're like, you're killing baby pandas. And we're like, meanwhile, there's no baby pandas are dying. They're just making it up. The fraudsters are capable of coming up with extremely compelling, sort of heart-wrenching stories that are false, but nonetheless sound sympathetic. And that's what happened. So it's like, perhaps I should have known better. But I thought, wait, let's try to cut some amount of waste and fraud from the government.
It was a game effort, but yeah, you should have known better. Everybody should know better. If everybody read Thomas Sowell or Milton Friedman or James Buchanan, everybody would know better. And this scam wouldn't go on, certainly not at the scale it's gone on. I mean, the benefits fraud investigations, billions and billions of dollars every single day are being frauded, are coming to the fore. Because it's so ubiquitous and it's so easy to find if you're interested to look. They're not that clever. But the Thomas Sowell formulation I've used before. I mean, all these people, nobody reads anything. Not nobody, but so few people know anything. They think whoever's talking right now just came up with this. Like Elon Musk, the panda, it's good stuff. But I mean, these guys are saying the same things 50, 60, 100 years ago. The lack of education, thought, civic-mindedness, conversation with intelligent people that lead you to consume content that enhances your understanding of the world around you. It's just so gosh darn frustrating. I know why people just walk away from politics. They just give up and go live a good life because people are just hopeless. I mean, honestly, I hate to be so cynical, but Thomas Sowell's great formulation. Yeah, this is 30 years old. Here's the riddle. You only have enough money to fund a statue to Benedict Arnold on the mall or childhood inoculations against, pick a disease du jour. Malaria. What do you, and you're a member of Congress, where do you spend the money? And people hear this and say, well, obviously the more important thing is childhood inoculations. Why would we want to pay any money for a statue to Benedict Arnold? He was a traitor. No. You don't understand. If you're the politician, you understand. I pay for the statue of Benedict Arnold, and then I mow anybody who won't borrow against tomorrow to pay for yesterday to finance a child inoculations, and I get both. And that's how Washington works, and that's how most state capitals work too. And that's what I guess the Doge boys didn't fully appreciate. For more on this and other matters, please be joined by Chris Whalen, chairman of Whalen Global Advisors, LLC, editor for the Institutional Risk Analyst, and author of Inflated: Money, Debt, and the American Dream. Chris, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan.
Well, I mean, if you want to comment on the this topic we've talked about before we get to the Fed and liquidity in the market and the war and so forth. Just the rubber is going to meet the road 6 years till Social Security is quote unquote insolvent, 6 years till Medicare is quote unquote insolvent. They both already are, whatever. $40 trillion in debt, but everything's fine.
Yeah, well, the progressive experiment is coming to an end. This portion of the process that you just described so nicely with Elon Musk, I think, just typifies a society that is, it thinks it's affluent, but it's not, because it's all based on borrowed money. And even now, Congress is pressed to come up with ways to spend new money, although they do like to just increase everything 10% a year. That's easy, right? You don't have to do anything. But the financial pressures are extraordinary. And I think that we're pretty close to the point where you're going to start to see a kind of pushback by members of both parties, including some moderate Democrats, that says, well, maybe we do need to reduce the deficit before we run into the brick wall. This will be very popular, believe it or not, among people who work for a living and invest and everything else. But I think that, the numbers are striking. The Social Security issue, for example, they're probably going to end up mean testing Social Security, simply because the old model that was put in place a century ago that said that, 10 workers could support one retiree is now flipped on its head. And we have 10 retirees and one worker. And obviously the math doesn't work. So, Washington is not a place where math matters typically, because they've been able to just fudge it. But it's going to start to matter a lot, because interest rates, I don't think, are going to go down, Dan. The era of Greenspan, it's ironic the man just passed away at 100 years old, but his willingness to give Washington everything they wanted and more, and drive interest rates down over and over again, right, to give us the appearance of economic growth, is kind of at an end. Today, gold is a bigger reserve asset than the dollar, and that tells you everything you need to know.
And if I could just add to my fatalism, I would think it would be difficult after my lead-in, but no, I've got more. How you describe Greenspan, and Greenspan was a Randian. I mean, even the Randians are big government central planners in D.C.
Oh, totally. You mean the religion of selfishness? Yeah. I'm not a big Ayn Rand fan.
No, but I mean, ostensibly he's a free market, a radical free market guy like most Randians are, and yet what did he end up being? A big government central planner when he got to the Fed.
Oh, totally. And a very adept politician. My dad was very close to Greenspan through much of his life and was his consigliere when he was getting ready to get into the government, with Jerry Ford and all of this a long time ago. And he always knew how to bob and weave with the politics, how to mumble at the right time when he was on Capitol Hill. I think, in many ways, he was the perfect Fed chairman for this era. Because we couldn't tolerate an Arthur Burns or a Paul Volcker. Arthur Burns is probably the last Fed chairman who was willing to lecture Congress about deficits and about how deficits lead to inflation. But we're kind of, we're headed to the same place as we saw in Argentina with Milei, where you had this radical, far-right free market economist who's elected president because they don't know what else to do.
Right.
They were so tired of the inflation of the left and the Peronism and the nonsense that they said, fine, we'll make you president. Come here and fix it.
Right.
America's headed to that same place.
Well,
I don't think politically, when you see Mondami in New York lecturing the Democrats that they're not radical enough, oh, please, go ahead. And that idiot you were just quoting before, I think Elon Musk should sue him forever. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
Death by lawyer.
Yeah,
that's good.
Right.
I like that.
Right. Oh, but I mean, when all else fails, try freedom. It's an interesting thought.
When all else fails, sue them and make them sit in the conference room for the rest of their lives.
Well, no, but I'm not talking about Musk. I'm talking about Milei in Argentina and us here. It's like when all else fails, move away from central planning and choose free markets. I mean, yeah.
But this is, you see, it's hard for Americans to get their minds around this. That's why I redid my last book, because, the whole notion of the New Deal and FDR was never presented as socialism. It was always presented as this heroic struggle against fascism in Europe and World War II and all the rest of it. But the reality is, from really the 30s on, America's been a largely socialist society. Mm-hmm. As my dad used to say, Social Security is socialism, Chris. And he was absolutely right. Mm-hmm. So, when we start to grapple with some of these issues, here I am in Florida, we're getting ready to get rid of property taxes.
Right.
By the way, Ron DeSantis is clearly getting ready to run for president. That's going to appeal to a lot of Americans, to get away from the universal pay model of the New Deal and say, no, we're going to have a system where you pay for what you use. And, in Florida, for example, probably half the residents don't have children. They're retired. So should they pay for the schools? That's really the question that Ron DeSantis is asking. And I think it's going to pass overwhelmingly, by the way.
I certainly hope so. I mean, and it's just the first 250, but I mean, that represents 60% of households in Florida. It's massive.
Oh, yeah. And again, this is, I think that the DeSantis crew and Republicans in Florida have very astutely decided to go after this aspect of the New Deal, because if you kill universal pay, then you can start to unbundle the rest of this nonsense. And you see this in Texas. You see this in other red states where they're very focused on dismantling the whole New Deal infrastructure, because that's where this nonsense comes from,
right.
Dan.
Right.
Totally.
A question. So your dad was a confidant of Greenspan's. Did he caution him against marrying Andrea Mitchell?
No, no, you don't get involved in stuff like that. I think Andrea Mitchell actually was good for Uncle Alan, as we used to call him in our household.
Uncle
He was
Al,
always
wow.
a guest at our Christmas party.
Wow.
No, he would be standing there next to Gene Kirkpatrick, having a great time. I'm sorry, my doggies are very upset right now.
It's all right. That's it. Take care of the pups.
It's all right. You know, well, there are a lot of animals in Florida. Doggies go crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
We have birds. We have alligators.
Yes.
We're not sure what to do about alligators.
Yeah. Some of those birds aren't great either. Well, wait, now, I got the Greenspan at the Christmas party. So as a young man, were you, as a radical free market guy yourself, were you giving Greenspan the what for when it came to some of his monetary choices?
No, I mean, I knew him, just because I was the son of Richard Whalen, who was probably the most interesting Republican operative of his age. I worked for the Heritage Foundation when it was a tiny, radical little organization with no headquarters building. And then I worked for Jack Kemp, who's probably, I think, still one of the great conservative voices in America over the last 50 years, because he was positive. He said, "Tell me what you're for."
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to talk about negatives. He said, "Tell me what you're for." And he won in Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. Well,
so conservatives need to take that example to heart. We have to start telling people how we can deal with our issues, debt, of course, things of that nature, in a positive way. You know, it's fairly easy to do. People say, "Oh, this is impossible, Chris. We're going to crash and burn." And I just laugh. No, we're not.
No, they're all man-made problems. I mean, they're man-made problems.
Exactly.
They're ostensibly man-made solutions. I mean, there are points of no return in some instances. But just on Greenspan, since we're sort of thinking about his legacy, and and it was really tarnished by the Great Recession, the crash in 08 and 08-09. And so I wonder what you think the lessons from that episode were that we have assiduously not learned over the subsequent almost 2 decades.
Well, I think the easiest one to describe is when the Fed started to target interest rates. That was a Greenspan innovation. And it was easy for members of Congress to understand because, they all have the economic acuity of a 3-year-old. So, when you look at it that way, they said, well, we're going to drop interest rates and the economy will grow faster. Great. But the problem is by the time we got to the early 2000s, the efficacy of doing that was pretty much done. And Greenspan didn't have a way of pivoting and saying, well, targeting the Fed funds rate is probably not a good idea now. What else can we do? So it almost forced us into a mode where we could borrow anything we wanted, which we did, and we had reasonably high inflation, even though it wasn't a political issue. That came with COVID. Once you had inflation getting close to 10%, all of a sudden people were like, uh-oh, that's not good. And they couldn't buy a house. They couldn't get a job. We're going to see energy prices go much higher this year, Dan. That's one thing we should mention to your listeners. The fact that this war is supposedly over has not fixed the fact that the Iranians knocked out probably 2/3 of the world's production capacity for things like diesel fuel and lubricants and sulfuric acid, all of which we need for a modern society, right? It'll take years to fix that. So we're entering a period now where we're going to have much higher inflation, and the pressure on politicians, the president, everybody else is going to be very high. It's going to be fascinating to watch the midterm elections and then the presidential election that's coming up.
And then he's going to be putting pressure on his what may be his soon-to-be former good buddy Kevin Warsh to cut interest rates, and Warsh seems disinclined to do that because he's serious about taming inflation.
Kevin Warsh is a hawk, but he's also a supply sider. And I would watch him carefully. I would tell you that he's going to make a lot of changes in how the Fed runs. He's going to refocus the Fed on their job and get them away from a lot of this progressive nonsense. So remember, after 1935, the Fed became the progressive institution in Washington. when it had a Washington headquarters, and the president essentially could, make nominations and almost ignore the regional banks, right? The Fed was supposed to be a decentralized kind of Jeffersonian model, and it wasn't after the New Deal. So Warsh is going to, I think, make a lot of significant changes. He's going to try not to raise interest rates immediately, because what can he do about the war? What can he do about the damage to the global supply chain in energy? Not much. I mean, can he ratchet rates up and cause a recession? Maybe. But look at this economy, Dan. This economy is not headed for a slowdown. This economy is roaring along, even where interest rates are today. So you could make an argument that they should be nudging rates up just to slow things down a little bit, apart from the war. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to try and negotiate with the other members of the board and say, look, we're going to reduce the reserve levels, which doesn't really do anything about inflation. We're going to make other changes, which are in effect tightening, and that should be enough.
Well, because we're going to try and grow our way out of it, get to 5% GDP growth.
I wish.
Well, I know, but I mean, isn't that the attitude? AI is going to let us grow.
Party line.
AI is going to we're going to be able to grow out of it because of the AI revolution. Isn't that the line?
It is, and I have a really interesting interview I'm running tomorrow with an old friend of mine. I don't think people understand AI. I think they miss a lot of what's going on. For example, everybody says Oracle is busted. No, Oracle's going to make a ton of money on AI. They're the cash register for AI, but the upfront spend for all of this is massive. We're just building buildings now. We haven't even started putting stuff inside the buildings yet.
Yeah, ostensibly that's going to happen at some point too. I assume they're going to put stuff inside those data centers and so forth.
Well, we'll see. I'm a big proponent of precious metals. Silver used to be, kind of laughed at, right? Now everybody realizes that it's essential for anything that has to do with electronics. You cannot make anything that involves electronics without silver. And the supply shortages are rather profound. So there's some interesting things going on, but none of them are suggesting that prices are going to come down anytime soon. We have systemic inflation that is running through all aspects of our economy right now. Will we be able to manage it? I think so, but we're going to need a new cast of characters in Washington. People are going to look back on Trump as kind of a remarkable departure from reason. I don't know.
Remarkable departure from reason.
And I say this
interesting.
I love a lot of what Trump does.
Yeah.
But there are other times when I look at it like Bill Pulte. Oh my God. What are we going to do with Billy? You know where Billy belongs? Fox News. And by the way, I wanted to ask you something. Are we really sending the Chicago Bears to Indiana? Is that what's going to happen?
If anybody can make the Bears leave Chicago, it's the political power structure in Illinois. I'll tell you that, Chris.
I know, but I saw that.
It's real
in the clips the other day.
It's real. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's done, but it's real and it's moving in that direction. So yeah. Another
I can understand
commentary.
why.
Yeah, no, well, exactly. No, who can't? Everybody can understand why, but nobody wants to do anything about it. I mean, it's we're a microcosm of D.C. Chris Whalen, chairman of Whalen Global Advisors, editor of the Institutional Risk Analyst, author of Inflated: Money, Debt, and the American Dream, second edition. Chris, thank you as always.
Thank you, Dan. Have a great day.
Appreciate it. And you join us in the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This 4th of July, celebrate America the right way. Fire up the grill, invite the family over, launch the fireworks, and proudly display a handcrafted wooden American flag from uniquewoodenflags.com. These stunning hand-finished wooden flags are built with real craftsmanship and patriotic pride. Whether you want a classic American flag, military tribute flag, America First design, or a beautiful flag cross that celebrates both faith and freedom, they've got something for every proud American. Perfect for your home, office, man cave, lake house, garage, or as a meaningful gift for veterans, first responders, and patriots who still love this country. This Independence Day, don't just wave the flag. Display it with pride. Visit uniquewoodenflags.com today. That's uniquewoodenflags.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Alan Greenspan knew when to mumble at the right time when testifying before Congress. I'm not going to soon forget that line from Chris Raylan. Coming up, 7:37, all things Illinois politics and policy related. Mark Lennon from Wire Points. Now we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
7:33, sunshine in Chicago. In the QC Kinetics newsroom, 55 degrees now, 75 later today. Primary elections held in New York, Maryland, and Utah today. Much of the national attention is focused on New York, where some Democrat socialists are on the ballot in what many see as a possible look at the political direction of the Democrat Party there and nationwide. The U.S. says Iran can sell oil under a temporary 60-day license. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced the move in a social media post late yesterday. One man is dead in a shooting inside of an auto repair shop on Chicago's west side. Police tell us the victim was shot yesterday during a fight inside that business in the 2100 block of South Washtenaw. Following another weekend of gun violence around the city of Chicago, the city and anti-gun activists gathered outside City Hall to propose the creation of a new city department solely focused on fighting gun violence.
We cannot continue to rebuild the plane while it is in the air under every administration.
Activists say the proposed Department of Gun Violence Reduction is not redundant, even though police and two other funded city agencies addressing violence already exist. Kane County Coroner's Office confirms the body pulled from the Fox River in Elgin over the weekend does belong to a missing teen. 16-year-old Destiny Neal was located Sunday in the river north of the Kimball Street Bridge. There's a new entrant into the race for Chicago's mayor, Dr. Lisa Nee, entering the 2027 race. And as the Chicago Bears seriously consider a move to Northwest Indiana, they're continuing talks with state of Illinois officials about potential next moves. Two new long-shot suitors are stepping up to pitch themselves as future homes for a Bears stadium, one on the southeast side of the city and one in scandal-plagued McCook. White Sox walk off the Guardians 6-5 in their series opener, while the Cubs and Mets were rained out. Ahead of the NBA draft, the Bulls acquire center Nick Claxton in a 3-team trade. The news, a service of the AM 560 Advantage, where membership has its privileges. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. A check of the roads in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher believes the left is extremely upset.
They're angry, they're bitter, they're disconnected from reality. We got USA chants at the White House, jets roaring overhead, and the left is just raging, while the rest of us are just happy at the way things are going. The message is clear. They don't love America because America loves Trump.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560, The Answer.
It's Reveille. Governor Pritzker signed his FY27 budget last week. It's another budget of record spending and $800 million in tax increases, including a new digital asset tax. That tax grew surprise and ire from the crypto market. In an interview with Crane Chicago Business, Don Wilson, founder and CEO of DRW, a crypto trading firm, said the new digital asset tax threatens the state's potential to become a major cryptocurrency hub, and that it tells everybody, just leave. We don't want you here. No kidding, Mr. Wilson. The Democrats have been telling everyone, including the Bears, just leave. Wilson said all they wanted was to be left alone and was dismayed that the tax was added at the last moment with no debate in the middle of the night. We just need them to not do anything stupid, he reportedly said. Unfortunately, they could not help themselves. Well, welcome to the outrage crowd. We hope you help us defeat them at the ballot box. The tax is expected to bring in $60 million, but Wilson said a cryptocurrency exodus will cost the state billions. Wilson and others shouldn't be surprised. After all, there's an entire Democrat caucus in Springfield only devoted to finding ways to tax the effing rich. Their words, not mine. What else may surprise people that's in the budget, especially those who want the state to fund more education? $2.09 billion is spent on pensions for higher education, nearly as much as the $2.36 billion that the state sends to universities for their actual expenses. As for K-12 education, the pension cost is 61% of the amount sent to school districts, $6.4 billion for pensions compared to $10.8 billion for school districts. I'm Jeannie Ives. To hear more about what's going on in Illinois, tune into The Real Story Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
Your local State Farm agent, Anthony DeGrotto, combines good neighbor service with surprisingly great rates. You can combine your home, auto, and life insurance to not only save you money, but give you the peace of mind you've been looking for. Anthony DeGrotto is your go-to agent in Chicagoland. He and his team will work for you to provide the best service you expect at the price you want. Combine your home, auto, and life insurance today. Anthony DeGrotto will help you mix and match things perfectly. His State Farm office is a top pick 2024 Daily Herald Reader's Choice Award winner. He's a proud supporter of Tunnel to Towers and like-minded as you. His State Farm agency is currently looking to add members at their Roselle office. Call Anthony at 847-895-1500 today or visit DeGrottoSF.com. That's DeGrottoSF.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.
Giving your liver a spring cleaning is easy with Active Liver from New Nordic. Search for Active Liver by New Nordic on Amazon, CVS, Wegmans, or GNC.
7:40, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. West Chicago, an accident, Route 59 and North Avenue. Route 53, an accident, left shoulder. It's in that really tough construction zone, northbound, just before Euclid. Accident being cleared on I-88 right now, eastbound, approaching 39 this morning. Delays on DuSable Lakeshore Drive and all the typical places, especially between the Stevenson and Monroe. An accident on I-57 inbound at Halstead, and an accident being shoved out of your way inbound on the Dan Ryan, right at the between the I-57 Bishop Ward merge and 87th. And an accident left shoulder, Eisenhower outbound at Austin. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now a check of your forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Sunshine gives way to afternoon clouds and a high of 75, partly cloudy and 60 overnight.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering smart security systems to homes and businesses. Call Goldilocks at 708-889-5600.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House floor for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out. I said when you're
Top of the morning,
out.
Dan Proft here. The theme music means it's time for a weekly conversation with the wirepoints.org boys. Mark Lennon, the founder, will join us momentarily, but just to repeat our top story. The city of Chicago is under a transfemicide state of emergency. So I don't know if I don't know if you're supposed to send your kids to school or not. I don't know if you're supposed to go to work or not. Wear a mask. It does sound like a lawn care product, but it's not. Transfemicide state of emergency, so declared by BLM Brandon. For too many transgender Chicagoans, the sense of belonging they deserve in their city has been denied by exclusion and barriers to opportunity in spaces that should be safe and welcoming. Since declaring a transfemicide state of emergency, our administration has strengthened the city's capacity to support the LGBTQ plus Chicagoans. This framework builds on the work by centering the voices and lived experiences of trans Chicagoans to chart a path toward a safer, more connected city. We'll continue to update you as information becomes available on this state of emergency and what you can do to, keep everybody safe. Well, stay safe. 2 weeks to slow the spread of transfemicide. I don't know. We're working on some of the sloganeering because I know that's what people like when it comes to these things. I noted Mike Scott talking about this doctor who's entered the mayor's race. Dr. Lisa Nee. She's a cardiologist. She has an MBA. She's a former ICU nurse. She's a UIC-trained doctor. She's a VA whistleblower. Got to find out more about that. And a lifelong Chicagoan raised in Humboldt Park. She said, I know what responsibility to a budget means. I know how to lead a team. I know how to look at the transparency of a budget and line items. Okay, who wants to tell her? Who wants to tell her? That's nice, Dr. Nee, but you would be much better served politically in Chicago if you just got a Nazi tattoo. I mean, it's nice to have those skills. They don't matter. In fact, they're probably disqualifying. It sounds like you're going to look around and take finances seriously. That has no place in this race. Now, if you were like a rebounding friend of President Obama, that's a credential. You got a Nazi tattoo, that's a credential. Got a high identitarian score, that's a credential. Just being like a cardiologist, being like a successful professional, well-educated, successful professional, and perhaps based on this whistleblowing thing, somebody that is has a certain ethical center. I mean, those things are not of very much interest to the electorate, so I don't see her going anywhere. For more on all this, Mark Lennon joins us, founder of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Mark, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Happy Tuesday, Dan. And yeah, those stories really do fit together. Transfemicide or whatever the word is, nuttiness. We can laugh at that, but the political calculation of these folks that come up with these things is that that's what the electorate wants to hear about. And in big cities across America, it's those kinds of things, and not a budget crisis, a killer crisis that Illinois faces. You'll get yawns. I mean, the last thing I wrote about was pensions. Probably nobody will read it. Not very many read it. Yeah, pensions. Remember that crisis that was identified as a crisis well over 10 years ago. People yawn. I mean, then political advisors will tell you you're wasting your time talking about those things. That's the reality we're in with voters in places like Chicago.
Yeah, no, at least, I mean, if she doesn't go the Nazi tattoo route, which is available, maybe it's a little bit derivative, but, the Mainers seem to like it. Stephen King's a fan. Maybe she needs to think about becoming Dr. Larry Nee and maybe doing like a trans gender reassignment surgery during the campaign to generate some attention. I mean, these are the lengths you got to go to if you want to lead this great city.
Again, you're laughing about it, but if you were doing the calculation, if you were a political advisor to a Democrat running in Chicago, it's quite serious that's the kind of thing that scores you points, unfortunately. That's the situation we're in.
You know who I'll tell you what, whoever discovers the responsible party for that noose at the Obamalisk construction site, that's who should be the next mayor. Should be like a Cannonball Run, or a survivor. I guess I'm dating myself, but like it should be whoever can find the person responsible for the noose or pin it on somebody that is convenient. That should be the next. We should just do it that way. Do like a contest, so we could follow along, like a reality TV show, game show kind of thing.
Well,
I'm just spitballing. I'm just spitballing. I don't know. I mean, it's as good as your main qualification being you were Obama's rebounding buddy, and and you're promising all of the old school grifters and rent seekers that you'll be user friendly. I mean, that's the LEG value proposition. What's wrong with what I said? Just as good.
You do need to somehow gamify the right issues and to appeal to ordinary voters, and I don't know what the answer is.
Yes.
Part of it, as we've discussed many times, is excuse me, the press that talks about all these things, and they're just focused on the wrong things. It's an alternate universe that you get from reading the Illinois media compared to what the real problems are in Illinois.
Yeah,
and that's part of the solution, but I don't know how to solve it.
Yeah, the gamifying. That's right. No, that's a good way. I mean, I'm like, you're right. You gotta appeal to, like, if I could borrow from the Amarillo Kid, the common clay, the people of Chicago, morons. So we got to figure out how to appeal to those people. That's the challenge for the next crop of mayoral candidates, it seems to me. I mean, but since we're on it, and since we do things that nobody else does in Chicagoland or pretty much anywhere else, let's talk a little bit about pensions, because you did a write-up on this new Hoover Institute study about state pensions, state and school district pensions, that was done state by state, and Illinois' page in this study is rated NC-17, so we're going to have to talk in hushed tones about it. But the state of affairs with state and school district pensions in Illinois is what?
Yeah, worse than the nation, of course. Another topic on which we are the outlier. This is done by the Hoover Institute at Stanford. The lead author was Josh Rao, who used to be here at Northwestern, who did some of the more groundbreaking work on Illinois pensions 10, 15 years ago. And they compared across all the states in the country how much is going to pensions out of the K-12 budget, and Illinois is over 20%, which is twice the national average, and getting much worse. The in recent years, it's more than equals the pension contribution increase more than equals the new money going into K-12 education by 50%. In other words, we've got a crowding out factor that more than exceeds the amount going into school funding. So, we talk about all these increased numbers on school funding. Everybody congratulates themselves on that. It's going to pensions. That's where it's going.
Well, what's the percentage of the state budget that goes to the same?
About 20% also.
Yeah.
And, I'd like to make the comparison to somebody running a race with a 20-pound weight strapped around their neck. That's the situation that Illinois is in permanently. We've got this handicap, and if we want to restore Illinois to a competitive level of taxes and quality of services, you're just not going to be able to do it with that kind of weight strung around our neck when the other states don't have that. Pensions are a problem nationally. There are a few other states with bad pension problems, but nothing remotely like us for most of the rest of the country.
The Bears back in the news because there's talk of the Bears drafting their own legislation since the General Assembly couldn't get around to doing something that they could agree upon. So you do it, and we'll just say yes. And Cam Buckner, who was the guy who carried water for the Bears in the House, where it failed, he said, you don't call a special session to drop a flight plan, you call a special session to land the plane. Well, he's such a visionary legislator. I mean, so the Bears, hey, what you tell us what you want, because you've only been telling us what you want for 5 years. And then once you just write it to, and then once you put it on our desk, then, I guess we'll convene a special session, but maybe not, because now there's all these other places that are suggesting, come to McCook. What about the South Works site? I've suggested Stone Park. I mean, you've got that Manheim Road corridor. You've got strip joints, light retail. That could really do wonders to revitalize West Central Cook County, and I think everybody be for that. Plus, that's Chris Welch's territory, and I don't just mean the strip joints, but I do include them. So what about the Bears being back in place? It's exciting. All they have to do is write the legislation, then pass the legislation, and then implement it, and we're good to go.
Yeah, we posted the article about some of these new ideas, and I hesitate even to publish them because it's just so silly. But people are obviously very interested in the Bears, and that's what the legislature is doing, all these silly things. I liked your answer in the last segment when asked about whether they're going to Indiana. Church sounds like they're heading that way, but it's not a final deal. It's just hard to make any sense out of this and make any sound prediction because of the silliness and the incompetence, I think, both on the Bears side and on the legislature side. The only people with their act together are Indiana, which has a good, solid proposal on the table.
Maybe if BLM Brandon just clicks his heels together a few more times and says ingress and egress, the Bears will choose Chicago after all. I know it's as good as anything else that seems to be proposed. Mark Glennon, founder of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Mark, thanks as always.
Thank you, Dan.
And Mark joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com. Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim. My friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, how are you? Welcome back.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
So, Tim, let's check in on how you've been helping clients achieve financial security and peace of mind. Perhaps you have a story or two, a success story or two, an example of how you've helped clients recently.
I remember I had a neighbor who, believe it or not, was a longtime listener to your show. And he had come up to me in the yard and said he wanted to stop and smell the roses and kind of get out of his job. He was done taking the train downtown to Chicago every day and basically working 60 hours a week for a company that didn't really care about him or his family. So we started running numbers, and lo and behold, he was able to retire 5 years earlier. He's now 12 years retired. He's a grandpa. He's loving life. He, too, needed a protect and grow blueprint, and he had to make sure he wasn't leaving anything to chance for their future.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns, TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free Protect and Grow blueprint. Call 1-800-640-2256. Again, that number, 800-640-2256. Tell him I sent you when you call Tim at 800-640-2256.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer. This 4th of July, celebrate America the right way. Fire up the grill, invite the family over, launch the fireworks, and proudly display a handcrafted wooden American flag from uniquewoodenflags.com. These stunning hand-finished wooden flags are built with real craftsmanship and patriotic pride. Whether you want a classic American flag, military tribute flag, America First design, or a beautiful flag cross that celebrates both faith and freedom. They've got something for every proud American. Perfect for your home, office, man cave, lake house, garage, or as a meaningful gift for veterans, first responders, and patriots who still love this country. This Independence Day, don't just wave the flag, display it with pride. Visit uniquewoodenflags.com today. That's uniquewoodenflags.com.
The following contains a celebrity impersonation.
Mr. President, we're seeing reporting that air conditioning systems are failing as temperatures rise. What is your response?
I said, don't wait. People wait until the last second, then suddenly it's hot and nothing works. I understand this stuff probably better than anybody.
Mr. President, why hasn't the White House issued any guidance?
I gave perfect guidance. Call Air Right Heating and Cooling. That's the guidance. If people followed it, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
Sir, but homeowners have so many HVAC options.
They're not like Air Right. You got some bad installers out there, some real bad hombres. I wouldn't let them near the White House. It would be a complete disaster.
Mr. President, there are reports of significant rebates on new systems. Can you confirm?
I've heard about them. A lot of people talking about them. If you miss out, you'd have to be really not so smart. Tremendous savings, let me tell you.
Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling at AIR-RITE.com. Air Right, doing it right since 1959.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 8:08, latest installment of Why Dan Proft a Single. We'll talk about goblin intimacy. Yeah, goblin intimacy. It's a new phenomenon. And if we have time, we'll get to those gay penguins in Lincoln Park Zoo. It is Pride Month, you know. And now it's 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
She got emotional on TV again. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Savannah Guthrie choked up on the NBC Today show with the latest update on her missing mother, Nancy.
I wanted to just take the opportunity to ask people to beg people to come forward. Somebody knows something. We are in agony.
As we find out, one of the ransom notes after her mother was kidnapped from her Arizona home months ago reported that Nancy died.
The second note sent to media outlets in February following the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie is believed to have said she was, quote, buried with nature. It followed the first note that said she was safe and demanded a ransom of millions of dollars in cryptocurrency in return for Guthrie, who is the 84-year-old mother of Today's Show co-anchor Savannah Guthrie. News outlets agreed to a request by law enforcement not to report on the contents of the notes while they investigated.
That's Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Iran is disputing what the U.S. is saying about the weekend talks in Switzerland, denying they agreed to allow nuclear inspectors into the country, but President Trump insists they did, adding they can't be allowed to have weapons.
If Iran doesn't live up to their agreement, or if they're not behaving, I will do what I have to do.
Over the next 60 days, they'll be resolving Iran's nuclear program and the issues surrounding it while keeping the Strait of Hormuz open. With the initial agreement in place, millions of barrels of crude oil are leaving the Persian Gulf each day.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Tel Aviv. Iran also insists today it can spend the money the U.S. unfreezes however it wants. But on Truth Social, the president posted this morning, funds the U.S. is releasing for Iran will be controlled by the U.S. and used to buy food and medical supplies exclusively from the U.S. It's primary day in Utah and Maryland and New York, where several socialist and progressive candidates are hoping to follow Zoran Mamdani's lead after he was elected socialist mayor of New York City.
We're doing that again because this movement is unstoppable.
Claire Valdez has Mamdani's support, so do several others in races for seats in Congress. There are runoffs today in South Carolina, too. America's listening to Fox.
62 degrees, sunshine at 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Mike Scott in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Michigan City, Indiana police say they're searching for a child seen going into the water and then disappearing. It happened yesterday around 5:30 at Washington Park Beach. Michigan City Fire says dive operations have had to be suspended due to hazardous conditions. 3 divers with the fire department were injured in the search. They have been taken to area hospitals for evaluation. The Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project tells us in 2026 there have been 23 Great Lakes drownings, 12 of those in Lake Michigan this year. One man is dead after a shooting inside an auto repair shop on Chicago's west side. Police say the victim was shot yesterday during a fight inside a business in the 2100 block of South Washtenaw Avenue. Kane County Coroner's Office is confirming the body pulled from the Fox River in Elgin over the weekend belongs to a missing teen. Authorities say the 16-year-old Destiny Neal was located Sunday in the river north of the Kimball Street Bridge. Her cause of death has yet to be determined. Archer Daniels Midland is investing more than $100 million to modernize key facilities at its North American headquarters in Decatur.
This modernization strengthens our supply chains, it improves efficiency and productivity, and it helps Illinois maintain our status as a leader in the agricultural economy of the world.
While many other major corporations are fleeing the state, the company will stay for now, it says. It's maintained a presence in Decatur since 1939. White Sox walk off the Guardians 6-5 in their series opener. Cubs and Mets rained out, Bulls prepping for the draft and trade for a new center, Nick Claxton. The news, a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Download the app, 560theanswer.com/mobile. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The global tech sell-off that pushed the Nasdaq lower yesterday is continuing this morning with renewed concerns about artificial intelligence spending. SpaceX is borrowing money to take care of a previous loan and possibly will use the money for other projects. But the size of that loan, $20 billion, is concerning. CFRA Research senior analyst Keith Snyder is recommending investors sell SpaceX stock. Crude oil futures are retreating as investors monitor developments in the U.S.-Iran situation. Brent crude down to $77 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate down to $73. Luxury sports car maker Porsche could be cutting jobs. Porsche is now investing in gas-powered and hybrid models after delaying the rollout of all-electric vehicles. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
Scott Jennings sees business as usual in California.
Do I think it's fraudulent on its face that a Republican didn't get more than 25% of the vote in a mayor's race in L.A.? No, that's not inherently fraudulent. I'm not surprised at all. I mean, California routinely picks the literal worst people in the world to run the state and the cities. That does not seem to be a shocking outcome to me.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at noon, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer. Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560. The Answer.
It is that time of year again to save babies by providing ultrasounds with our friends at Preborn. You know how this goes. We've done it every single year at this time. All you have to do is pick up the phone and say, I want to provide a free ultrasound to a girl. Give her the chance to see the truth of what's happening in her body. Every $28 helps do that, saving one baby. $280 can do that, help save 10 babies. More does more. The phone number is 833-850-2229. 833-850-BABY. Join us saving babies with Preborn again this year. We're going to save hundreds of babies, one at a time, 2 or 5 or 10 at a time. That phone number again is 833-850-BABY. That's 833-850-2229. Or go online to 560theanswer.com/baby.
Hi, it's Amy Jacobson, and last year I hired Level 10 Coatings to give my garage floor a total makeover, and I am loving it. It still looks great, shiny and clean. Level 10 Coatings. Now, you've got to call these guys if your garage floor is cracked, stained, still covered in salt. Don't live like that. Get it done now so you can enjoy it this summer. Level 10 Coatings. They're fast, reliable, and highly professional. Guess what? I went to work. When I came home, it was done. A shiny new gleaming garage floor. A quick, easy fix. fix, and it's guaranteed never to chip or peel. Why? It's not an epoxy job. It's better. Level 10 uses polyurea, which is much better than epoxy. So schedule your free quote today and mention me, Amy, to receive $500 off. Visit level10coatings.com. That's level, the number 10, coatings.com, or call 855-510-2628. Staff are local and ready to answer questions. Level 10 Coatings, your premier concrete coating experts.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250 micro to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
Here it comes.
Surprise! There's an avocado shortage! Now half your food truck menu is costing more than it's making you! Also, you're out of napkins!
Those aren't cheap! Progressive knows small business owners usually don't like surprises because they cost you money. But a good surprise? Saving 13% on commercial auto insurance when you pay in full.
Also, an ice cream truck stole your parking spot! Looks like you're in a turf war!
Surprise yourself. See if you can save in as little as 8 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
8:09, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Eden's outbound. You're all messed up. Right after Dempster, two right lanes are blocked. There is a garbage dumpster, likely a roll-on, roll-off that fell off a trailer, blocking the lanes outbound, two right, just after Dempster. Stop and go on the outbound Kennedy between Augusta and the Edens Junction this morning. Delays on the Bishop Ford inbound at 111. Stop and go traffic on the Jane Addams eastbound between Elmhurst Road and the Tri-State, and an accident on Route 53. It's now off on the left shoulder in that construction zone northbound just before Euclid. Traffic, a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Subscribe free at 560theanswer.com/podcast. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now a check of your forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect sunny skies giving way to more clouds later on. The temperature will reach a high of 75. Tonight, the clouds will start to break up with a low of 59. Tomorrow, anticipate a mix of sunshine and clouds with a chance of showers and a thunderstorm in the afternoon. Keep an eye out for gusty winds and small hail with any downpours. The high temperature will be 79. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Time now for another reason why Dan Proft is single.
All right, gentlemen, young gentlemen at least, put the game consoles down. These chicks want you to go out to bars so they can meet you. Take a listen.
Where are you guys meeting these cute men? Because we go out to the bars every weekend, and we only see cute guys in the run clubs, at bagel shops, like at the grocery store. I'm not gonna talk to you at the grocery store. The bar is the best place. Literally. And they don't go out.
No, because they have an issue with it, and I don't know
why.
Because they say, they're not worthy. The girls there are low value.
Well, you're never gonna find anyone then. Can y'all please start going out?
Because, like, you're not, I know you guys aren't gonna approach us at the grocery store or at the frickin' run club. So, like...
No, because you're sober. Why would I talk to you if I
It's also, like, 6 in the morning.
God.
Like, be so real.
And why would I talk to you if I was sober? 312-642-5600 is the alphawealthgroup.com call and text line. These are like late 20s chicks. So they're, getting to their sell-by date. Well, I mean, that's a little aggressive, but, I'm just saying. I don't know. They seem like it. They seem pretty anxious to meet these guys. They only see the cute guys at the bagel shop or the run club, and they don't get approached there. You know why? Because those guys are gay. That's why they're not approaching you. I mean, come on. The bagel shop? The run club? What are you talking about? I wonder about that, though, not going to bars, but these two chicks apparently are sick of the apps, probably because of the kitten fishing. See how I incorporate concepts that we learned in the last Why Dan Prof to Single to the present one? Building our base of knowledge, staying current. Kitten fishing, for those of you who missed, is when basically you show up. You present yourself on the apps or on social media as something much better than you actually turn out to be. Physically, professionally, financially, etc. You get it. Kitten fishing. We'll get to goblin timacy in a second, which is the opposite of kitten fishing, and another term you need to add to your glossary if you're going to go out and converse with young ladies like those two looking for guys at the bagel shop. The responses that they got, I wonder if these are indicative of the larger, but it's a lot of like fey guys out there too. I mean, it's just, even like the straight guys are kind of fey. Women are so annoying with posts going viral such as this. I have a whole laundry list of reasons why men don't approach. Women are literally hostile towards most men these days. They know it too. It's just them, again, pretending not to understand things. Yes. I have felt the sting of hostility. There's no question. I get it. Somebody else, so we don't want to waste money on girls who have no intention on wanting anything more than free drinks or dinner. Sounds a little parsimonious. Because we're labeled creepy asses. Well, I mean, if the label fits. And then, like, this is the thing. Like, this guy who's 28, so he's the same age as these chicks. I never want to make the other person feel uncomfortable, and I want to be respectful. Some girls don't want to be approached at all, so I'm always trying to err on the side of caution. Well, okay, you're never going to, take a risk that way. You just, this kid, I got some advice for him. You just go up to some chick that you want to talk to. And, you're gentlemanly to put her at ease if you are afraid you're going to come across as creepy or you're going to make their uncomfortable. So try this, for example. Like, I pith thee, pretty youth, let me be better acquainted with thee. Something like that. If thou wilt, go with me to the alehouse. Something, and make a gentlemanly offer in sort of a Shakespearean lexicon. See if that doesn't creep her out and have her run screaming the other way. Jordan in Antioch, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Why don't they go to the? Well, because you're there. That's why. And have you been to a bar? Have you been to a bar lately?
Wait, because
$7 for a.
Because me? You mean me personally?
$7 for a freaking Miller. No, the girls. This crap writes itself. Right?
Oh.
What is it? They're like $7 for a Miller Lite, so I got to go on the cheap and cost up $21 to hang out with some, either half drunk or probably medicated hose beast like you.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
No,
hose beast.
If you want to meet a good guy, go to the grocery store. The dude's trying to feed himself. He's probably got it on the Walmart shopping list. He's buying on a budget. He's trying to save his money. You're going to go meet some dude who's got to be drunk. If you got to be drunk to hang out with you, that should tell you about the dude you want to be with. Holy cow.
I don't think you can.
It writes itself.
I don't think calling him, what did you say, a hose bag? I don't think.
Psycho hose beast.
He hose beast.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to break the ice. But I mean, you can take them to like Richard's, and you can get reasonably priced alcohol and enjoy some of the local color as well.
You maybe
don't know where Richard's is.
Now, I don't know where Richards is, but I'm getting it by the implication.
Yes,
so I'm pretty sure these girls are not hanging out at Richards.
No, that is not necessarily a hot scene.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the call. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to go to like the priciest steakhouses and C&B places all the time. Too good, come up with something that shows something about your taste. Some little off the beaten path type of place, little boîte that demonstrates you're a man of refined tastes. Something like that. Deborah in Arlington Heights. Oh, here from the distaff side.
Hey, Dan. Yeah, so the whole thing has been messed up. People have no idea what we had to go through in the 70s, for example, when you would go to meat markets, a.k.a. bars.
Meat markets. Wow.
Like, the amount of, backside pinching when you would walk through a crowd.
You don't have to tell me, sister. No, go ahead.
I mean, I'm not advocating that. Let's be clear. I'm not saying we should go back to those behaviors, but somehow we survived and people found each other. I don't know. It's just kind of messed up today because everybody's so over the top careful about every little move that everybody makes. Can't we find a happy medium?
Yeah, I would think. I mean, it would. I don't know. My days, like in the 90s, like the living room and places like that, those meat markets, they were highly entertaining, in all sorts of kind of depressing ways. But yeah, I mean, I think it was better than the online thing. At least you got over the fear, intimidation factor of rejection. It's just too easy, I think. There's no risk on social media. So it's just, if I could be semi-serious for a moment, there's no risk on social media because it's just, you're just paging through and it's whatever. And if you're, and also, the certain people are getting inundated. And so if you don't it's like a resume. If you don't do something that really stands out immediately, then it's too easy to get passed over. In a bar or some other social setting, it doesn't have to be a bar, where you can actually strike up a conversation, you get a little bit more layering than you do if it's just who comes up with the pithiest answer to some pre-programmed question on some dating app. I don't know. That's just my view. But what do I know? I don't know anything. That's why I'm single. George in Naperville.
Yes, Dan, keep riding lonesome. Hear your own best company.
Thank you, George. Dave from Geneva was in a high school band called Backside Pinching. Wonder who they covered. I did want to get to Goblintissime as well, just, again, making sure that we're all speaking the same language. Goblintissime is the dating cousin of Goblin Mode, says Amy Chan, one of our favorite dating coaches. I am also a dating coach and relationship expert because you just sort of declare you're one and you become one, especially if you write a book that's entitled something like Unsingle, How to Date Smarter and Create Love That Lasts, which I assume is a pamphlet. Anyway, Goblintissime, the dating cousin of Goblin Mode, a rebellion against showing up on dates, performing a curated version of who you think someone wants, and instead showing up as your real, authentic, actual self, which no one wants. No, that's my parenthetical comment. But yeah, I mean, if you're trying to do a curated version of yourself, maybe there's some market feedback that suggests that curation is needed. Text from 773, don't be knocking Richards. I'm not knocking Richards. I liked Richards. I don't want to speak out of school about Richards, but you could do some things in Richards that you couldn't do anywhere else in a post-smoking ban era, shall we say. Don't be knocking Richards. Remember the old adage, if she smokes you. Yeah, I remember that adage. Anyway, Goblintissime. Be your authentic self, quirks, flaws, and perfections at all. So wear the jam shorts and the bikini inspector T-shirt and say, "This is me, take it or leave it." One other thing, too, again, just trying to keep everybody up to speed, particularly those who are still out there searching for the one that has the other half of the amulet around their neck. Low vibrational relationships. Now, this could also include friendships, so this is more expansive. You want to pay attention to this. This is super important. On social media, especially within Gen Z community, so if you want to keep current with the kids, identifying a low vibrational partner has become a form of boundary setting and self-protection. I've been hurt before. Although it's being overused, sort of like toxic, where everything is toxic, so nothing is toxic. Anyway, when people, according to a Shan Boudram, Bumble's relationship expert, that's a corporate relationship expert. He or she trumps me. When people say low vibrational, they're describing a relationship that feels draining rather than energizing. At its core, it's a dynamic where growth feels one-sided. You're the one initiating hard conversations, reflecting and stretching emotionally. Over time, that imbalance can leave you feeling depleted. I don't know, the high vibe thing can leave me feeling depleted too. If you're carrying the emotional work yourself, the emotional work, do the work. What does that mean? Nobody knows. Pushing the connection forward while your partner remains passive, even if they aren't intentionally being unsupportive. How do you know if you're in a low vibrational relationship? I'm so glad you asked. You might notice a general decline in your own well-being, or start questioning yourself, for example, wondering whether you're being too idealistic about your goals or ambitions. In relation to your partner, you might feel unresolved tension or a barrier between you and your partner, or find it difficult to communicate or identify the core issue. Overall, you might feel a loss of energy, drive, or determination, which may just indicate, in my view, that you've given up and come what may. Yeah. Low vibrational energy can show up in friendships, too. This is from Eloise Skinner, who is a therapist and author, so you know she's got to know what she's talking about. I think you could look at friendships through this lens as well. The impact of a low vibrational friendship might be less intense or perceptible, but might also be a more impactful issue in romantic relationships, since the low vibrational energy can affect things like joint plans, couples activities, and one's sense of self-esteem. You know what really gives me a sense of what's the description? It gives me a sense of a decline in my own well-being, starting to question myself, wondering whether I'm being too idealistic, feeling unresolved tension, finding it difficult to communicate, is reading all this pablum from relationship experts.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Platform safety is critical at your commercial and industrial facility. Keeping people safe and meeting OSHA requirements isn't optional. That's why Vans Industrial offers free platform inspections by professional structural engineers who know exactly what to look for. Problems with platforms, ladders, or stairs can lead to costly fines or worse. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to protect people in your facility.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial.
With decades of experience, I bring long-standing industry knowledge from inspecting, correcting, and replacing countless platforms to make facilities safer. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor equipped to modify or replace steel catwalks, handrails, stairways, and ladders. Our union building trades professionals fabricate and install high-quality steel systems that create safer work environments.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free platform inspection by professional structural engineers. See what else we can do for you. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com.
Your kitchen's outdated. Your bathroom feels cramped. Every day you wait, prices go up. And you keep living in a space that doesn't work. At Forever Remodeling, one team handles everything. Design, planning, and installation, start to finish. We show you your new space in 3D before we ever break ground. No surprises. With flexible financing options, the home you want is closer than you think. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, everremodeling.com to schedule your personalized in-home design consultation.
Business owners, now's the time for your business to make the move to a locally owned business bank. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that you don't have to look far. Signature Bank was founded in Chicago with a simple mission to help companies like yours grow, succeed, and thrive. Their decisions are made locally by a terrific team that knows your name, cares about your business, and invests in your success. That's why Signature Bank is my bank. I'm a customer. As business owners, they knew that local family-owned businesses were not getting the help they needed or deserved. So I invite you to reach out to my friends at Signature Bank today. Write the number down. Remember this phone number, Signature Bank, 773-467-5630, and learn all about this great bank, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than 4-8333 or visit accessoneinc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction. That's accessoneinc.com. Tech made personal locally.
Are you turning 65 and thinking about Medicare? Or are you over 65 and haven't enrolled yet because you still have coverage at work? Either way, Medicare done correctly will be the best health insurance you will ever have. Imagine having an annual deductible of only $283. There are only two good things about aging, wisdom and Medicare. But to navigate the Medicare maze properly, you need a mentor. Best part? My guidance costs you nothing. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Medicare, then you need a local expert on your side, your own health insurance mentor. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than a decade. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, you know who's in a low-vibe relationship, I think, is Jelly Belly and low-T Jimmy Tallarico. This Jimmy Tallarico, the soy boy running for Senate in Texas.
I should mention, my imagination is also just limited by my own background and identity, right? My whiteness, my masculinity, all those things limit my imagination about what's possible. So I have to continually press against that to try to expand the limits of what I'm dreaming of for our community.
Yeah, I think you're doing a good job transcending your masculinity there, Low T Jimmy. Governor Jelly Belly is the special guest at a Low T Jimmy fundraiser tomorrow night. You have to RSVP to get the address. It's an undisclosed location because God only knows what's going to go on there. I note on the host committee, Robert Cole and Clark Pellet. Clark Pellet, he was a Chicago Republican committeeman for a time. He was, I think, the city GOP chairman. And you wonder why we don't have an opposition party in Chicago, in Cook County, in Illinois. Years of having enemies inside the perimeter. Clark Pellet at the Jimmy T. JB fundraiser. Of course. Enjoy the low T stylings as low T Jimmy tries to transcend his whiteness in a performance featuring Governor Pritzker. I love it. Coming up at 8:38, Tulsi Gabbard's parting disclosure as DNI and walking down the memory lane of COVID. 8:38. Now we check the headlines with Mike.
62 degrees, sunshine. Headed for a high near 75. In the QC Kinetics newsroom, Michigan City, Indiana police say they're searching for a child who was last seen going in the water and then disappearing around 5:38 at Washington Park Beach Monday afternoon. Michigan City Fire Department says dive operations were suspended due to hazardous conditions. 3 divers with the fire department were injured in that search. They have been taken to area hospitals for evaluation. The Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project reports 23 Great Lakes drownings so far in 2026, 12 of those on Lake Michigan. Vice President J.D. Vance back from Switzerland, where he held initial high-level talks with Iran over the weekend. It's another big primary day in America. Races in New York, Maryland, Utah, and voters in South Carolina heading to the polls. One man is dead after a shooting inside an auto repair shop on Chicago's west side. It happened in the 2100 block of South Washtenaw yesterday. And no one is in custody after a rideshare driver was shot on Chicago's west side. Detectives say the victim was dropping off passengers last night in the 1300 block of South Central when he was shot, listed this morning in good condition. A home explosion yesterday in northern Illinois forced the evacuation of up to 400 residents in the town of Dixon. One person has serious injuries. According to Dixon police, that one person was inside the home when the explosion occurred and suffered serious injuries. White Sox walk off the Guardians 6-5 in their series opener. Yesterday's game with the Cubs and Mets was rained out. The Bulls making moves ahead of today's NBA draft. Nick Claxton was acquired from the Brooklyn Nets, giving the Bulls a rim protector. Claxton has served as the Nets' starting center for the last 4 years. The news is a service of the AM 560 store. T-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands like Proft University and The Sean Thompson Show. Go to 560theanswer.com/store. A check of the roads coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560.
Larry Elder says the evidence speaks for itself.
Jasmine Crockett says if you reverse the race of the parties involved, the outcome would have been different. If Metcalf had been black and Carmelo Anthony white, different verdict. No evidence of that whatsoever. Neither the defense nor the prosecution said race had anything to do with the encounter. The defense argued self-defense. So why then are we talking about it?
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the Retirement Tax Bill Calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com. Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim. My friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, how are you? Welcome back.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Tim, for more than 25 years, you've been helping clients achieve financial security and peace of mind, which has to be rewarding. Doing it a long time. You've got a lot of success stories on a daily basis, I'm sure. Can you give our listeners an example of a family that you've helped out recently that comes to mind?
We had a 65-year-old call who had been listening to your show, and he called us and he said, he wanted to know, do I have enough assets? I'm really tired of working. I'm burnt out, etc. And he didn't know if he had the resources, and he didn't have the knowledge to get to the answer of that. So we helped him prepare a Protect and Grow blueprint. And by doing that, we helped position his money for income and cut back on the risks that they had in their current portfolio.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns, TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free Protect and Grow blueprint. Call 1-800-640-2256. Again, that number, 800-640-2256. Tell him I sent you when you call Tim at 800-640-2256.
America turns 250 this year, and Lieutenant Colonel Alan West is coming to the Chicago area to help celebrate. Thursday, July 9th at Chevy Chase Country Club in Wheeling, Illinois. Join an evening of patriotism, purpose, and our God-given right to bear arms. Dinner buffet and cash bar included. General admission is just $50. Want to meet Colonel West one-on-one? VIP reception tickets are $250. Go to faireramerica.ticketbud.com for tickets. This is your America. Celebrate her.
Food, fuel, jobs. It all starts with homegrown Illinois corn. Driving a $148 billion economic impact, corn supports thousands of jobs and strengthens communities across our state. It's advancing cleaner burning biofuels, expanding plant-based manufacturing, and growing a renewable economy. Illinois corn isn't just an agricultural success, it's a strategic investment in energy, innovation, and economic growth. See what's possible at ilcorn.org.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
8:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. Accidents all over the place, but right now let's go on the in Lombard. There's a report of an accident North Avenue and the Veterans Memorial Toll Road, I-355 this morning. West Chicago sweeping up an accident. Route 59 and North Avenue should be out of your way. Route 53 jamming up northbound between the Ike and Euclid in that construction zone. Delays on DuSable Lakeshore Drive remaining between the Stevenson and Monroe. And delays, stop and go variety outbound on the Kennedy between Lake and the Edens Junction. And the outbound Edens is all jammed up because of an accident and two right lanes blocked just after Dempster. Traffic, a service of Mattress Firm. Trouble sleeping lately? Upgrade to the great sleep you deserve at Mattress Firm's 4th of July sale. Choose from a curated selection of top brands. Let their sleep experts help you. They make sleep easy. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. But now, a check of your forecast in the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center. Sunshine this morning gives way to afternoon clouds and a high of 75.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Senate Homeland Security Chairman Rand Paul yesterday subpoenaed Tony Fauci finally. That sad little man telling Semaphore in an interview that he reached his breaking point after Fauci agreed to appear before Homeland Security Committee this month and then backed out. Rand Paul saying he's been slow-walking information to us for 6 months or more. We've been negotiating over the date for several months. He agreed. Then he said he wouldn't, so I think it's time we bring him in. Among the topics, his Biden pardon, gain-of-function research being funded when he said it wasn't, and the destruction of records. Rand Paul saying, I think there's a lot to discuss. Indeed, there is. And more support for that claim was provided by Tulsi Gabbard on her way out the door as Director of National Intelligence. She offered a disclosure of documents and emails with the following explanation. And remember, you get that sad little man, Tony Fauci, under oath, and he lies again about gain-of-function research, for example, hypothetically speaking. Well, then he has legal exposure. The Biden pardon doesn't protect him. Gabbard.
Today, I'm releasing new evidence of long-standing U.S. government funding of more than 120 biolabs in over 30 countries. Now, these biolabs include labs in places like Ukraine, which could be at risk of compromise due to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. In fact, the intelligence community had previously warned that a U.S.-funded biolab in Ukraine likely housed dangerous pathogens and remained vulnerable to long-standing threats of Russian attack, seizure, or damage. Now, until now, evidence regarding the full existence and funding of these laboratories had been knowingly withheld from you, the American people. Many of these U.S. government-funded biolabs are currently or have previously engaged in research using hazardous and highly contagious pathogens, and in some cases included dangerous gain-of-function research with very little visibility or oversight. Now, President Trump clearly understands the serious threat dangerous gain-of-function research poses to the American people. And this is why he took decisive action over a year ago. On May 25th, 2025, he signed an executive order to end federal funding of gain-of-function research around the world. Here at ODNI, I issued new guidance to the intelligence community directing increased collection on these laboratories and facilities overseas. And we're already seeing the results of this increased collection. We're learning new details, for example, on clinical trials that are underway at these facilities and that are raising significant ethical, financial, and security concerns regarding the supposed public health initiatives and U.S. national security. Now, despite the obvious potential for catastrophic global impact that research on dangerous pathogens in biolabs can have, politicians and so-called health professionals like Dr. Fauci, as well as entities within the Biden administration's national security team, lied repeatedly to the American people about the existence of U.S.-funded and supported biolabs. Not only did they lie, they threatened those who attempted to expose the truth. So this release today breaks new ground, as the information surrounding the existence, history, locations, and funding of these U.S.-funded biolabs has been intentionally covered up by very powerful people who falsely claimed that these biolabs didn't exist. Now, they accuse anyone who says otherwise to be foreign assets and traitors to America. Now, ODNI will continue working closely with partners across the U.S. government to identify exactly where these labs are and what pathogens they contain to end dangerous gain-of-function research that threatens the health and well-being of the American people and people around the world.
It's a sort of a remarkable statement to listen to Tulsi Gabbard talk about the nature of an investigation by the national director, the director of national intelligence, the head of all the intel agencies. How deep is the deep state? How murky is the swamp? We're still investigating where all these biolabs are that are ostensibly, arguably, allegedly engaged in gain-of-function research, which Fauci lied about under oath in repeated exchanges with Rand Paul over the course of the pandemic. This happened. We're still trying to identify. The director of national intelligence has to put a team together to try to identify where all these government-funded biolabs are and provide information to the public. And one of the things that she did, as I said, is release documents, including some emails. For example, emails that provide more evidentiary support for Rand Paul's claim, for Tulsi Gabbard's claim that, in fact, gain-of-function research was being done, was being knowingly financed by Tony Fauci with taxpayer dollars through NIH. Here's his good buddy, who is now barred from federal grants, EcoHealth Alliance's Peter Daszak, at a conference in New York, talking basically about gain-of-function research. This is what they do. This was flagged in an email that was, an exchange in an email that was among those released by Gabbard.
We're only looking at viral families that include those that have got into people from animals. So we narrow it down straight away. Then when you get a sequence of a virus and it looks like a relative of a known nasty pathogen, just like we did with SARS, we found other coronaviruses in bats, a whole host of them. Some of them looked very similar to SARS. So we sequenced the spike protein, the protein that attaches to cells. Then I didn't do this work, but my colleagues in China did the work. You create pseudoparticles, you insert the spike proteins from those viruses, see if they bind to human cells. And each step of this, you move closer and closer to this virus could really become pathogenic in people. So you narrow down the field, you reduce the cost, and you end up with a small number of viruses that really do look like killers. Then you look in people and you say, in the people that live in the region where this animal lives, that are exposed to that virus, do we see antibodies specific?
So, he's talking about gain-of-function research, basically messing around with these novel coronaviruses. So now we know not only was this, again, allegedly, seems to be a fairly strong circumstantial case that these biolabs exist. They were funded by NIH. Gain-of-function research was going on. Tony Fauci knew about it, and he knowingly misled the entire nation when it came to the virus's origins, which Rand Paul is attempting to get to in conjunction with our friend Ron Johnson from Wisconsin. They're still on the case. If and when Tony Fauci appears before Homeland Security Committee to be queried, I say, just for good measure, Rand Paul plays this as his walk-up music.
Sad little man, you better run now while you know you can. Sad little man, you don't fool me, you sad little man. Sad little man, gonna trap you like a dog, put your head in the net while they eat you raw. Don't ask why, just comply, 'cause fear is the drug that the doc prescribed. Sad little man, you can watch him on the news, preaching to his choir while they learn the rules. Some feel safe and some feel healed, but they'll all hold his hand as he makes the kill. Sad little man, you better run now while you know you can. Sad little man, you don't fool me, you sad little man. Sad little man, and he wants your kids. Some might live while the rest get sick. So put him to the test and listen for the yell. When the truth comes out, he's gonna burn in hell. Sad little man, you better run now while you know you can. Sad little man, you don't fool me, you sad little man.
And I'll tell you,
You can't fool me, you sad little man.
sorry, 5 times August, didn't mean to interrupt. I'll tell you, this is important, even if there's not a legal reckoning. Text from 815, can Fauci plead the fifth? Sure, he could. That wouldn't look very good for him, but he could do it. It's important that he's remembered as a villain of history, even if there's no legal reckoning in our time. And so you have to put together the record. So Rand Paul and Ron Johnson, in particular, not limited to them, but they've been the most aggressive. What they're doing is important. And boy, this whole discussion reminded me of, so many signature clips from the COVID era of sort of the loss of sanity among so much of the public. The madness of crowds, to borrow from McCrae's seminal work from the late 1840s, which tells you how little the human condition changes. The madness of crowds, made worse by the madness of politicians, or the cynicism of politicians, as the case may be. For example, she's no longer, but she was at the time, Nassau County, New York executive director, or executive, Nassau County executive, the elected position. Laura Curran was her name before she got replaced by Blakeman, who's running for governor against Kathy Hochul now, Republican. On playing tennis in the COVID era. I mean, you remember so many of these, but this is a classic. Playing tennis in Nassau County, New York during COVID. Laura Curran, your county executive.
Every player, unless they're from the same household, has to bring their own tennis balls so that you don't touch other people's tennis balls with your hands. You can kick their balls, but you can't touch them. I'm going to blush, sorry. Of course, if you're playing with someone in your household, you can touch those tennis balls. To avoid confusion between whose balls are whose, you can use a marker, like a Sharpie, to mark out, to put an X or put someone's initials on them.
Stop saying balls! And by the way, she's standing next to two goons who look like they're, Orthodox Muslims. They basically are covered up to their eyes. They're like eye slits, but they're not Muslim. Not Muslim women. They're just COVIDian nitwits. How about this Fox affiliate report in Memphis, Tennessee, about how parents were dealing with COVID-proofing their kids for school before, of course, the COVIDians shut down the schools. And one mom in particular, madness of crowds.
And don't nobody want their child to be sick, and don't nobody want to take that virus to their house.
Parents with children at Treadwell Middle and elementary schools are not playing around. Many wiped their kids down, and some even sprayed them with disinfectant spray as they took them home Monday.
I wiped my children's backpack down when I got them out of school. Sure did. Gave them gloves. Sure did.
Parents are doing this after they found out an employee who works at Treadwell Middle and Elementary came in contact with a person who tested positive for the coronavirus in Memphis. Some took more extreme measures.
2 garbage bags. My shoes and came and loose. 2 sacks. Another sack.
She put garbage bags over her shoes, and she was otherwise. I mean, like our friend Amy Jacobson at the beginning of COVID, when she would come into the studio, looked like the keyboardist from Prince and the Revolution in surgical garb from head to toe. I mean, and you see the video, literally parents outside the school spraying their kids from head to toe with disinfectant because somebody came into contact with somebody who, remember the mania around that? Like it was a death sentence, even when we knew it wasn't, particularly for young people, for kids. And then there's this classic. This is my favorite. This is the one where I learned I did know a second language I was almost fluent in. Aborigine. Western Australia Premier Mark McGowan doing a PSA with an Aboriginal translator.
This is an important message to keep Aboriginal people safe.
And this message is a proper important one to keep everybody safe one.
You can die from the corona or get really sick.
You can pass away from this corona, or you can get really sick one.
It's time to get the corona needle to keep people and country strong.
It's time to get them this needle, corona, to keep them but all the people and country proper strong one.
So if I just rearrange the couple of English words, then I can speak Aboriginal. Wonderful, beautiful language. Very sensitive. Make sure the message got out and nobody was confused. Man. Greg in LaGrange.
Good morning, Dan. I think it's very important to mention, going back in history, how important your show was when you stepped out individually and you had your individual show and you had people like Johan Gesicki on. And they basically said, hey, let's keep our head about this. You know, let's find out what this is going to be like in a year. Right now, we're not seeing any adverse effects to children. Or Wiz Vernuski, the doctor that they silenced about how you can't track an airborne virus because it's so small. Or the doctor in England that you said that was on that you had that basically said, you know, this is a diameter of a virus that is like 10 with 11 knots after it. These simple masks aren't going to work. The collective loss, that was greatly appreciated because that talked me off the ledge, right? Everybody's worried right in the beginning. Then you start to listen to responsible professionals and you get your head about you. And then you see what's happening in this country where you have people actively saying that you want people rounded up to be forced to get this thing, and they haven't even had it tested. Thank God for people like you, all the guests that I mentioned that you had on, Jeffrey Tucker, John Campbell, and bloggers that I can name that basically pointed out that the Princess Diamond did not indicate it was a novel virus because married couples in the same cabin didn't have it, and they were tested with the same test. So let's think about what happened, and let's think about how we want to memory hole it. We shouldn't memory hole it. There were really, really serious damage done to our families, to our children, and to our society and our economy as a whole.
Yeah.
And this needs to be brought to bear. There needs to be a cost paid. If we can't do it legally, then through the history books. Thank you, Dan.
Thanks so much, Greg. I appreciate it. Yeah, Johan Gesicki, great recall. I'd like to catch up with him. It's now 9 o'clock, AM 560, WIND Chicago.
An update in the Nancy Guthrie case. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, and it is difficult for her daughter, Savannah, who got choked up on NBC's Today Show.
We are in agony. We cannot be at peace.
Asking again for the public's health, saying someone knows something about her mother's kidnapping from her Arizona home more than 4 months ago. As we learn more about the ransom notes the family got in February, the first one demanded money, the second one